here with my friends in Acappella, and we're going to be talking about the album Sweet Fellowship.
Sweet Fellowship. Is this not a pivotal album? If you can use that word.
Major pivot.
A seismic shift? Not just in the music, but in lives and families and what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little background. Hey, first of all, as we're looking back at these different albums, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, don't you think that this album is the most covered of any of the collection of songs you guys have done?
In multiple languages.
Why is it? Why is this one the one out of all the albums we've recorded?
Personally, I think it was because of the focus on simple 4-part harmony, and yet everyone had their own standout part. It wasn't your average 4-part. Let's all sing something off the lead line and make it a quartet kind of thing. It was 4 individual parts that formed a whole. And it was unique and different, and it had of course, the sound was real different too from one album to the next. Big change, and we'll get into that. But I think it just appealed to people and lots of groups out there. And you still hear groups. I mean, almost weekly, I get a new Brazilian quartet sending me a cover of Sweet Fellowship or Now to Him or something.
Really, really cool. A bunch of great, catchy, sing-alongable melodies. And that makes it appealing too. So,
but anybody could be on vacation in the car and say, "Hey, you sing this and you sing that," and you can do that without having to put 8 voices together and have sheet music. And but I love hearing people sing these songs, and it just brings a smile to my face. Let's catch up first on what was happening before Sweet Fellowship and leading up to this time. And we'll start with Rodney. Rodney, you had been in the group for what, 3 years at this point?
Yeah, I think it was about 3 years. And the last 2 of those years, it was just me and you, the 2 of us singing with tracks. And then, as we have discussed earlier, that we formed the vocal band who kind of stood in behind us. So what had been happening up until this point now was a radical change, and for the better, I would say.
Well, with AVB, I mean, there were 7 of us on stage, but I really was overtaxing my voice. I can see clearly now in hindsight, I was teaching everybody, AVB and everyone, the parts by.
I know where you're going, Mo.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't help it. You said the line. Exactly.
And then, let's see. And then I was booking the group. So I was on the phone constantly calling, trying to get us dates for the tours. So I was using my voice on the phone. And then during the concerts, I was singing the lead. Of course, Rodney was singing very hard and heavy as well. But then I was emceeing a lot. And then after the concerts, you guys realize this, some of the hardest things on your voice are the ambient noise in the foyer, where you're trying to talk above
speaking over the crowd.
You've been in a restaurant where your voice is you're having to almost shout to someone that's right next to you because the music and the ambient noises. Long story short, we were in Rodney, was it Michigan, Flint, Michigan, when my voice left the auditorium.
Like Elvis.
That really happened.
Yeah, that's where I was born, matter of fact, Flint, Michigan.
Wow.
And Rodney's fault?
That's, put a little hex on him.
One of our original jokes was when Rodney was born, the doctor spanked him on the behind and he went, but we were in Flint, Michigan, and my voice just left right in the middle of a concert.
Yeah.
How embarrassing. Fortunately, we had AVB backing us up then, Rodney, and I think Brett Testerman stepped up, and for a couple of concerts, several concerts, they stepped up, and you guys had to do it without me. So that was a really challenging time. And anyway, I'll make this short. it was during that time where I had severe laryngitis and went to the doctor, and he prescribed silence for a long time. And Sharon was happy about that. I would write with a note and did some self-examination and say, well, I just can't do everything. So what should I give up? And that's where I started thinking, well, maybe I should focus on producing and songwriting or managing and get into that vein and replace myself. Because I know we've got a great bass and a vocal band. But that's kind of what led to this configuration. Mo, how many times did I try to get you to
3
in some form or fashion?
3. Oh yeah. The first time I was a junior in college, and you came through with His Image to Lubbock Christian College, and of course you were always, had your eye out for young talent, and talking to people, everywhere you went. Who do you know? Who do you know? Somehow you got my name and found me backstage after a concert in June of my junior year, and we got to talking, and you said, I got this idea. I want to form a backup group. I'm going to call it Acappella Vocal Band. I'm going to have 10, maybe 12 different guys, and we're going to sing. They're going to sing the drums, the horns, everything, the flutes, and you named all these different instrument parts. I said, Keith, that sounds great. Because I knew that I wanted to be part of a ministry like that.
George, that sounded like something I would have tried to think.
That would have scared me too.
So I said, yeah, that sounds great. But of course, I'm engaged. And man, you said, oh, okay. Boom, you were gone.
See you later.
See you later.
Limited seating at that time.
Limited seating. Of course, I didn't marry her, so it came back around. I graduated college and had already taught for a year in the thriving metropolis of Crane, Texas, and you contacted me like it was April, I believe, of that year, and told me that you were having problems again, and not again, but you're having problems, and you. No. I'll back up. You were looking for a tenor and a road manager for AVB. That's what it was. And again, I said I was very interested, and so I met you at Encounter, and we talked about it. But I had already promised my school board I was coming back. I promised the local church I was coming back, and I felt I couldn't really.
So that was the second time you turned.
That's the second time. So I left you a note. I didn't even tell you. I just left you a note on the door, and that I couldn't.
I'm still crying over that.
I thought that's the end of that, and then almost a year later, before it was time to sign the commitment papers, you called and said that you're making a change. And this time it was for Acappella. And so I flew up on spring break, and we basically just sat around and ate a lot of food and played instruments and joked around a lot. I sang a little bit, but not much, and went from there.
Wow.
So you basically were playing the game and holding out for the best situation. Is what it boiled down
I
to.
said yes early.
Lots of instruments, AVB. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have been Brett Testament, and I never would have sang with you guys.
Wow.
Brett has a phenomenal voice.
He does. He's amazing.
So George, the first time you heard the group was in California, where you were living.
Yes.
Well, actually, a friend, I think, do I remember it correctly? A friend twisted your arm to get you to come to one of our concerts.
This is what he did. He came to my house. He was a police officer. And he came to my house, and we were eating and talking. And he said, I got this video I want to show you. And he showed me the video of Acappella's, the video you guys had just completed. And I was so impressed. I thought, oh my goodness. And I thought, but I got to tell you, I was impressed for selfish reasons. I was not impressed because I was thinking, I want to be a part of that. Because I hadn't even heard the music yet. I was just impressed because I was thinking, there are some people doing what I've been dreaming about. And I thought, I got to find out how he did this. So sure enough, I go to the concert, and I have no point of reference except that video. And I walk in, and it was like going to a Michael Jackson concert. I had never seen that before. Christians having that much fun, and the show being so professionally done.
That's high honor coming.
Oh, it was great. It was fantastic. I was blown away. But I was by myself. You got to know that this got me in a lot of trouble. I was by myself, so I talked to Keith. Well, this is another thing that impressed me. I didn't know who Keith was, anything about the group, and so I tell John Laws. I said, I'd like to talk to Keith Lancaster, and so he sends me to the bus. I go to the bus, and he says, George Pendergrass. The George Pendergrass, and I thought he was joking, but I didn't even know he knew anything about me. So apparently, Brett had told him about me. Nobody ever told me this. So I'm just sitting there, and the only thing I can think of is how did you do whatever you guys are doing? Because I'm singing with a group, and then my mind was totally on Renaissance. I was like, I'm singing with a group, and we are trying to do full-time music ministry. And I just want to know, what can you do? What can I do to be a part of something like this full-time? And he said, how bad do you want to do it? And I was like, within the law, as long as it's legal. And he said, okay, we'll see. And then I said, well, I tell you what, I said, because at this point I'm thinking, forget Renaissance. I want to do this thing. I said, but I've got a friend.
Full-time.
Yeah. I said, I got a friend.
I got a friend.
If I'm thinking in the group who's serious, there's one guy in there that's dead serious. He's got to be a part of this venture. And he says, okay, I'll get back with you. And I went home, and I think I called you, Doc. I think I called you and said, you got to. So I was all excited telling them all about this. And I said, he said he's going to get back in touch with me. And sure enough, that's when all the trouble started. I went home and I told my wife, I said, honey, I've seen it. They're doing what I've been dreaming about. And she goes, what's that? I said, full-time music ministry. She said, what? Are you out of your mind? She said, you got 2 degrees and you're a minister and you want to do what? And it just went from bad to worse. It just was terrible. It just didn't go that well. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is not good. And sure enough, you guys were in Longview again before you left California. And when I went to Longview, I took Pam with me, and she saw it herself, and she started crying, and she said, I see it. I see it, and that was it. That was it. It was a waiting game, and then he sends me these CDs, and now I'm getting excited. See, now I'm hearing what everybody around the country has been enjoying. And it's just even that much more exciting to me because did I send you any of the CDs, Doc?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're listening to these things, and I'm telling you, my kids, because I was teaching 4th grade, I must have spent half of my day with each one of my classes listening to music. And my kids, they know all the music. It was just wonderful. We were just falling in love with Acappella and stuff that I'm finding out later that everybody else around the country had been excited about. But when you hear it, you know it. When you hear good music, you don't care where it's from, you know it's good.
Yeah, because for me, it wasn't a video. It wasn't a live concert at all. It wasn't a CD. It was a cassette, by the way. So, yes.
It was cassettes.
But I mean, I was working in oil, and I'd take it out and put my Walkman on, and I'd listen. I'm thinking, wow, who are these people? And so it was a while later, I just fell in love with the music. I would listen every single day because I'm just like the rest of you. I was in every note and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is absolutely what I just love this. And then George called later and said, you wanna move to Tennessee? I said, what?
Tennessee.
I said, boy, you done lost your mind.
Again.
But
he's in California and you're in
New Mexico.
Yeah.
But I kept listening. I said, Doc, we need to talk, so.
Yeah. So it affected us both the same way. We love, good harmony and good messages and music that touches you. And so we knew there was something special going on as far as the music is concerned, but we didn't know the spiritual aspect of the ministry. And that's when you invited us to Paris, Tennessee, that's when both of us and all of our families became hooked.
Because the Lord was front and center.
Right.
It wasn't the music yet. When we first got there, the Lord was front and center, and we saw that, and it was just who we are. And so,
yeah, we were thoroughly impressed with that. The Paris Chapel Church was it was on fire, and you know me, I'm always impressed when I see people who can transcend culture and transcend their barriers and backgrounds. And I'm seeing black and white people joining together, singing and not just singing. I mean, they were sharing and loving on each other. And I'm like, oh Lord, something's happening here. And I wanted to be a part of that. And sure enough, I'm so glad that we brought our families, because there would have been no way to explain and share that with your family afterwards. There's no way to explain that. And so you really asked us a lot, because Waverin's in the oil fields, and I'm sure he's making good money. I'm teaching and preaching, making just a small living. But in California, you have to work 2 and 3 jobs. My wife is working another job. So we've got 3 jobs amongst us, and we're just making ends meet. But, in a normal city, that would have been, I guess, enough. But so then he asked us to come to Tennessee, and we're looking at the cost of living and what we would possibly make. And I thought, oh, the Lord will have to be in this one. And sure enough, but it was so appealing. It was such a strong spiritual pulling that it just superseded all my fears about finances. And I thought, we got to go. It's time to go. And so that's why we had so many people, especially us. We had so many people going, you what? You leave it? Oh, you're going to starve. Oh, it'll be horrible. It'll be the worst thing you've ever done. Don't do it. And I never, this is a bad part of my character, but I may as well confess it. Whenever people tell me what I can't do, it's the worst thing in the world, because that's why I went to Lubbock. Somebody told me, don't ever go out there. They hate black people. You'll never make it. And I'm thinking, you don't know my God. You just don't know him.
Exactly.
And so when that happened, my friends are going, don't do it. Don't do it. It's Paris, Tennessee. I never even heard of that. I thought, it's time to go. It's time to go. And sure enough, my wife, she didn't fight me. She felt good about what we were doing. A little nervous, but she trusted me, and it was the best thing.
When I first heard the group, it was Rodney and Keith. I thought, there's no way a human being can sing. It's just simply not possible. I've not seen it, so it's not possible.
Really? I had not heard anybody sing that song. I hadn't. And I've heard a lot of singers.
But I
had been around a couple of good singers up until the time that you guys joined. But I'm telling you, what a blessing God just kissed your voices. George, Wayburn, Gary. I was telling Keith earlier that growing up, I always had a low voice, even when I was a kid in elementary school. So I thought it was a curse. I got made fun of. I got called a lurch, from the Addams family, and they were always wanting me to do, say weird things with this low voice. And so I always wanted to, to sing the lead, to sing the high tenor. And being a child of the 70s, all the rock bands, screaming tenors, that's what I wanted to sing. and then you guys come into the group, and the soulfulness and the high notes. I was jealous, man. I'm telling you. I thought, man, that's what I want. I want some of what these guys have. But as you know, it takes all of us to make a group. Yeah. You got to have it all. So,
yeah.
And even to this day, when I go back and listen to some of these old songs, listen to Traveling Shoes, I just feel so blessed to have been able to work with you guys.
I remember our first concert. Yeah, I mentioned this on the last one, the last album we talked about. But our first concert was at the Grand Ole Opry stage for a big youth rally in Nashville, and no one really knew that the change had happened. And so they introduced Acappella. It was, and the crowd went nuts. And out walks George, and it's kind of like, huh? Because I feel good. And then out came Wayburn. And that was me. I was second. Yeah. And it was more like, and then the crowd starts getting kind of quiet. Then comes Wayburn, and they're all looking in total confusion, and no one knows what's happening. And then Rodney walks out, and the roof about falls. The place goes nuts.
Yeah, it was a great, but that was a gutsy move, Keith. That was gutsy. Yeah. Because we didn't. I don't remember us going through any major explanations as to how all this. We just, our music said it all. We did it, and but it worked. It worked. I mean, one of my best friends in the world right now is a guy that had that same kind of reaction when we first came out. Ricky Martin. He was not happy. he went as far as go, where's Keith and Rodney? And who are the two black guys? I want the two white guys. And, we laugh about that today. We just crack up about it. But he said he waited, and by the end of the concert, we had won him over. And so, I mean, I think that happened for a lot of people. We had a major. I know this is not what we're supposed to be talking about, but I just believe that just like our music won people over, just like it was hard to transition, it wasn't anything people were used to. That cultural change was something people had to get used to, but it worked. I just believe that if people spend time with one another, if they just get a chance to hear and listen long enough to each other's heart and listen to their story, there's all kind of stuff that happens. And I'm telling you, that was the best social, it wasn't an experiment, but that was just the best thing that could have happened to us. Not even counting the music, just our lives that were intermingled together for 7 years, and
children.
Yes, and children, and it's just, it was wonderful. I cannot say enough good things about it.
It's the way the church is supposed to be, and you guys totally transformed the group for good. Well, tell me about what it's like to move from Los Angeles and Lubbock and New Mexico to my hometown. I love my hometown of Paris, Tennessee, but it's quite different from Los Angeles. What was it like becoming a resident of Paris, Tennessee?
Well, if you know, I'll just start with me. I'm originally from New York City, so a lot of my background has always been in the cities.
Yeah.
And then coming to Paris, Tennessee, strangely enough, this was an answer to my prayer. I didn't realize that because I had had enough of cities. And by the time I was in Los Angeles, I was really hating, city life because although I love the ocean and I love the beauty of that, but I love the outdoors and I love the beauty of nature. And here I am in the middle of the most pristine, how would you describe it? It's just all beauty, greenery, and I had spent time in Lubbock, so I was thrilled with being back in greenery.
Trees,
trees and lakes and lots of, and the people are as nice as, scary nice. Where I had come from, it was like, like on Fridays when we went to get our check or went to cash your check, you waited in a long line around the block sometimes. And when you got in, you were just another number. Please move. Don't talk. Don't look at anybody. It was just that kind of environment that I had been used to. Get to Paris, Tennessee. Not only are there no lines, you go in the bank and they actually know your name. And they're talking about, hey, how you doing? And it was surreal. The whole time I was in shock most of the time. So I remember once we did the Acappella video, the first one. Not the first one, but the one that we did, Good Living. I remember going into the drugstore and before we did the video, and I said, "Ma'am, do you guys know that we're not from here, or are people really this way?" And she looked at me and said, "Well, son, folks here's just nice." I thought they sure are, and I'm just going to go with it. And it was the best 7 years that I've spent in a long time, really.
For me, I remember driving to Paris, Tennessee, and I don't know what got in me, but I let George drive. So, Doc, you'll remember this.
Is this the Memphis story?
The what?
The Memphis story?
Yes.
Okay.
We're driving, and I don't know what happened. I'm sorry?
Was it a truck?
No, go ahead.
I think it's a car.
The same one that I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Maybe it's not the one you're thinking of, Mo, either. But anyway, so we're in Tennessee. I don't remember if we were, but I think we were actually in Paris or close. And then we got on the wrong road, turned around, George driving. He drives into this man's yard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you said that was around Jackson.
Into the man's lawn. And this guy comes out. Listen, this is the truth. He comes out with a shotgun. Get off my yard!
And I'm in shock. I am thoroughly in shock because I
think we made the wrong move.
Is in the background going, "Get in the car. He's got it. Get in the truck. He's got a gun." And I hear him. And I'm just in shock. I cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe it was happening until that guy said, "Boom!"
Yeah.
He didn't shoot at me. He shot up in the air.
In the air to let you know you made a wrong turn, buddy, and you're gonna have to do something.
My God. That was something. We turned around. We finally got off and turned around.
Yeah.
And normally that would scare most people off. They would think, this is terrible. I made a terrible mistake. But I had such a good time in Paris, Tennessee. Even that never affected me. It was just something we remember.
It was just, and the, like you said, Doc, the location itself is just so green. For me, being a little New Mexico dusty, and that's all I knew. To see all these trees, I think I probably been around and with my mouth open for about 2 or 3 hours. But it was beautiful. It was welcoming, and everyone was so unbelievably welcoming to us. And so it kind of softened the blow there. We're still kind of a little, and as anyone would be, but because these people were vertical, God-thinking, loving people. The music was next. The love of God was first.
Yeah.
For me, strange enough, it was food. Food. It was the big change. I remember two things. One was there wasn't no Mexican food. They didn't. I don't think they knew what Mexican food was. There were no Mexican restaurants. And I'm a Texas boy, and there was no Mexican restaurants. Matter of fact, at one point, Pizza Inn decided they were going to start serving Mexican food, and so they used my wife and I as test subjects. They would feed us. It wasn't good. They stopped that. But I remember, like, we've been there maybe 2 weeks, and they said after church, we may have been meeting in the Walmart at that point. I can't remember where we were, but they said we're going to have a barbecue over at Bitsy's house tonight. Y'all come on out. So I thought, man, barbecue, this is going to be great. Of course, I'm thinking ribs, brisket. Get over there, and it's this stringy looking beef with just sister sour sauce on it. And it's like, what in the world?
Pork, shredded pork.
Pulled pork.
Mm.
I learned to appreciate it and love it, but man, that was a shock. Woo.
No, if you want a barbecue, you had to see Wavern's daddy.
Yes, sir.
That man knew how to put on a cue.
That's for sure.
No doubt.
Mo,
I was going to say that I've heard you say several times that one of your favorite places that you guys ever lived was in Paris, Tennessee. So you must have really loved the people in the area. And of course, I'm proud of Paris and glad that it was our headquarters for quite a few years. Now, tell me about another home in addition to Paris, and that's the studio. It wasn't long before we started living in the studio, late nights and days and nights and hours upon hours. And John Laws comes to mind. Tell me some of your memories, especially in the early days there when just getting started on our recording.
Well, for me, this was, although I had done studio work before, but never like this. This is studio on steroids, because I think most people that are familiar with a cappella music, most people that are recording, they are used to listening to some people that know a cappella music. They'll listen for a little while and think, "Oh, that's great," and but the music at this point, most of the recording that we were doing, it was precise. You had to be and I was not used to that. They were listening to every single note and had to do it over and over and over again. And you had people more than just yourself listening to the sharpness and flatness of notes and how accurate everything. I had just never experienced that before, and I thought, this is a new world for me. But I loved it. It was great.
We quickly developed terms. Go ahead, Rodney. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when I first started recording before you guys joined, man, I had to grow a tough skin because, you get in there and you think, man, I nailed that. That sounded good. And Keith was like, no, just do it again. Do it again. Okay, so do it again, and you know what? That was good. Let's try it. Let's try it one more time. So that means something's wrong every time. Flat or sharp or something. And after a while, you take it personally, but it's not. It's just that striving for a quality that is maybe most people would have settled for less, but it's just that quality that you just want it to be the best that it can be, not just for yourself, but because this is for God. I mean, you're trying to put a product out there that's going to touch lives and hearts. And I remember early on, I mean, I just had to grow a tough skin because you take it on the chin, enough times, it kind of hurts. And then there are times when, you just kind of lose your ears. You just have to walk away from it and say, let's come back fresh tomorrow, because I can't get it right. I just cannot get it right tonight. So I remember a lot of those nights.
Oh, me too.
We developed, terminology for lots of different things. One of them was the line studio position, which was any vertical, any horizontal space available where we would lay down and get a couple of minutes of shut eye. It was very common to see, with the four of us, had four mics set up in the room in the big studio A. Whoever's turn it was, the other three were laying out flat in the studio, watching the person recording, or maybe on one of the couches in the control room. But we spent a lot of time laying down trying to catch up from our sleep we were missing, because there was many, many, many hours in there.
I think what a lot of people don't realize, sorry, Weber,
No,
is
go ahead.
that, our traveling schedule was so heavy. It's not like you just had 6 months off to record. So you're trying to squeeze a session in, you got 2 or 3 days at home. And so you're trying to make the most of that time. And, when you guys joined, you know how it is when these four guys step off the stage, people want to buy a product that they just saw.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed a new album with you guys on it. People were still buying, the old stuff that Keith and I had done, and even his image, but they wanted Gary, they wanted Wayburn, they wanted George, they wanted Rodney, they wanted the configuration that they had just seen. So it was really, imperative that we crank out an album as soon as.
How long was it? I know I reported. I was the last one to get there of our crew, and I came on June 6th of '88. How long was it before Sweet Fellowship came out? Was that October?
It was either the end of the year, even almost pushing 89. Really late, I think.
Yeah.
I guess we slept too much in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, you really had to love your craft, or you would have walked away. You really have to love music. You have to love what you're singing about and the purpose of what you're doing. Otherwise, you just simply wouldn't make those kind of hours. It was tough. It was tough, and it was a learning curve, I think, for most of us, with exception of Rodney. You'd been doing it for a while, but it was a learning curve. The studio was for us, and and like Doc said, not only did you have to do it perfect one time, you had to do it like 3 or 4 times the same thing, and this thing called doubling. I'm like, what? But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, really, when you think about how you have to commit and give yourself to that thing that you really love. And that made sense as to why we were able to move to Tennessee at that point.
But with all the families and all the people involved in such a large transition from just Rodney and me on the as far as being a cappella, and now we've got that many more people, including ABB. You guys, you had to be on the road in order to sustain the ministry. Yet, when you had time, a few days at home to wash clothes and rest, it was studio time. Did you put more time in together on these first albums, like this very first album, than later on? Several albums later, it was easier to just say, "Hey, Mo, come in and make an appointment and do your part." The way you read of the Beatles doing that later on in their lifespan, where George or one would just come in by himself and do things, even though it was a band.
For the first album and a half, 2 albums, you were there for everything.
Yeah, and you needed to be, because and you needed us all there at that point, because you were hearing things at this moment and you thought, well, maybe this voice will do good here. And we're all learning at this point. And George, you try this. Doc, you try. Gary, you try this. And I think it was great that we were all there and accessible for the sound of.
We didn't have our studio ears yet. That took a while to get. The studio is the great
Equalizer.
educator. It improves anyone as a singer, as a musician, working in the studio,
Or not.
or not. Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a challenge to your ego. If you say we're a decent singer and you come into the studio, it was a very big challenge to take you down a peg, to help you to realize no matter how good you think you are not used to this. You don't know this yet. And boy, those times were really very challenging to me. Those times where John Laws would go, "It's going to be great. Let's take a little time and go home and think about it." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And but that's what everybody needs. That's what.
And that was remember that was the early days, and the wonderful tender John Laws. Later on, it was you frat.
You frat.
Yeah, they were kind to us. They really were. I mean, we learned so many things in such an interesting setting, but we also learned a lot about one another because we were spending so much time together in the studio and on the road together. That was a great opportunity for us to learn, and we just had lots of fun. We developed new language, conversations.
I don't know. I look back on it. I'm not sure how you three did it, because most folks don't realize that your wives didn't travel,
right?
And so when we come home, they're ready to see you, and then you take off to the studio. That must have been hard.
Yeah, that was challenging. That was challenging.
Yeah. Of course, I was free. I was single. I was free. I could do anything I wanted to, except eat Mexican food.
Traveling. The families did start traveling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Certainly. Yeah. After a period of time. Yeah.
But that first year, our families didn't travel full time with us.
Right.
And so that was a little bit interesting. But honestly, if I put myself in Keith's place, that's a lot of trust with a new ministry, putting different people, even though it's challenging to the families, but I'm sure you guys had already tried that and probably had some encounters with problems that causes periodically. But that's a lot of trust to take your whole ministry, your whole lifestyle, and trust it to people that you don't even really know that well, and their families and the children. So that could have, I can see that you had to develop an understanding as to who we were, what, our level of maturity, how we would get along, and it worked out. It was just a little challenging at first.
And we bonded. The four of us bonded quickly, which
right.
may not have happened had the wives been there. I don't know.
Well, Wayburn really nailed it earlier on when he said it was God was in the middle of it all. And, I didn't know you guys from Adam. Keith and I have been working for 3 years together, but we really gelled quickly. I mean, there was a love there that I think because of the music, but something about being in Christ, being in the same body, just accelerated those relationships. I can't explain it except that way, that the Spirit of God really, was the glue and really accelerated, a relationship. In a year, it felt like I'd known you guys for a lot longer than that. And that's because God was, at the center of it all.
And I remember being on the road, and I remember going, sometimes we'd go to church, we'd go to Bible classes. I don't know if you guys remember that early on. We'd stop in a Bible class, and we'd all be in the Bible class, and it's kind of echoey in the room, and nobody knows anything about Rodney. He comes in and he says, and everybody jumps. Remember that? I mean, his voice is just so huge in the room. And I just absolutely love that. I just waited for those moments. It's coming any minute.
Yeah, it took me a while to get used to that. You know, having somebody that you're that close to, and every time he speaks, your chest, you feel it in your chest.
Yeah.
Man, that's kind of scary.
Hey, this is ground zero, man. How do you think it feels right here?
It was beautiful, though, man.
But I said that because that was critical in terms of our gelling together, is to put the Lord in there and be a part of church. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Now, speaking of which, I mean, I think when Rodney left, we had to develop a new gel, a new way of, but your speaking ability, your skill in knowing how to was incredible for us. That was something that we used to sit in awe about. I will never forget that as we traveled on the road, we had all kind of encounters with people trying to write all kind of interesting things about us and
storm the stage, take over the stage.
And man, we had one of these encounters where we were on stage, and I will never forget that. I will never ever forget that. This brother said something out of line to us on stage or to the people. And
are you talking about the time he came on and grabbed a mic?
Yes.
Oh my God.
At the end of the concert.
What is it, Matthew 15:18 or Matthew 18:15?
18:15,
yeah.
And oh my goodness, you could have heard a pin drop. You could have heard a pin drop when he quoted the scripture. And I thought to myself, there's no need for argument. Just know the word. And that squelched that brother wanted to slide under a table somewhere. He just went on with the concert, and it was wonderful. But I think about that skill that we were in awe of, and we learned how because it is a skill to talk to people on a regular nightly basis, and that's a gift of yours. And
you're very kind, brother. You're very kind.
There's few who are able to engage a crowd and to keep the crowd interested and to keep the concert flowing and happy like Rodney. It's an amazing gift.
It is much more. Yeah, we learned that quickly. There's so many groups that have great sound. I'll give you one for example. No, I don't want to say their name. Anyway, there are a lot of groups that have great sound, and they're wonderful, but you don't want to hear them talk. You don't want to hear them start talking, and so that's a wonderful skill to have. Not only be able to share. We had a great tool of music and great songs, but to have someone that knows how to connect with an audience, that was amazing. And you need to know that makes a big difference. Big difference.
Thank you.
You're the Wizard of Iz.
I wasn't there. It was a concert at a Coliseum, a civic center. But I was told about this fellow who had a problem with our ministry or our group, and he went on stage and commanded a microphone uninvited and proceeded to give his grievance, which is totally out of place. And I don't know how I would have reacted, Rodney. I mean, because it would be normal for normal people to be angry or upset or react in a similar fashion. But when they said that you, in very calm way, that Jesus said, if your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault just between the two of you. Yeah. And when you shared that, and I think eventually didn't the audience applause at that?
Oh, they went nuts. I mean, the next song this was right at the end of the concert, and we had walked off stage, and we're planning to come out and do an encore, well on my way. And it was during that time that this guy made his way up. And as I recall, and this speaks even higher of Rodney, this fella, and who names don't matter, but he was an old friend of yours, as I recall, someone you knew, because you called him by name when he walked on stage. I remember you saying,
Yeah.
"Don't do this, please don't do this."
I had gone to college with him.
Yeah.
There in Nashville, so I was aware of it, and I actually even sang with him a little bit. Just they're goofing off there at college. But guys, y'all are being very gracious to me and too much so. But I think what really allowed that to happen is because we had really entered into scripture memorization on the road. And I think one of the very first verses we ever learned was Psalm 119:11. I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. And the safest place to be is in the word, the word of God. And really it has the answer for everything. And so I didn't have to think much about it when he came up. After he said what he said, it was just like, the Spirit just came out through the quoting of the word. And so, that's the best way to answer it. Now, I would love to say that in these last 35 or 40 years that I have handled everything with as much grace, but I'm afraid that wouldn't be true. But at least in that moment, I think the Spirit of God really, really helped me as I just quoted the word to him.
Well, you guys were talking about how you bonded and how you became brothers, not just acquaintances and work associates. And I think it's serendipitous that this title for this album is called Sweet Fellowship. So let's talk about the very first song on this album, which is Sweet Fellowship. What do you remember about this song?
Mo.
No, I'm not. No, y'all go ahead.
Well, I remember, if I'm correct, didn't you write this with Scott in mind, or
Scott Mosley? Yeah,
Scott Mosley.
Mosley, yeah.
Yeah.
That was something that was fascinating to me. We had been used to Waybert and I had been used to being around a writer, Sylvia Rose, who actually would write a song with a person in mind. And she would tell a story about it and how this person made her, the dream that she had and how it affected her and how it applied to this person. And so it was fascinating to me when you decided to do that type of approach with Sweet Fellowship and Scott Mosley, because we all knew Scott Holmesley, and we all knew him, and knew that was a very accurate portrayal of who Scott was.
He had just helped us finish up our studio before you guys came. I think, Rodney, when it wasn't long before the quartet came together that we were finishing the studio.
Yeah. We'd been down in
the Studio A, I mean, is the Studio A.
Yeah, we had been down in the basement for years, recording, and he had was converting your mom and dad's log cabin into a studio. So yeah, that was brand new, and I think that was sort of a phrase that he had often used, just about brothers and sisters in Christ. What a sweet fellowship there is in the body when we're all one together in Christ. It's just a sweetness to it.
Which is a biblical word and phrase. And I had, in Paris, I had been part of the madrigals and the choir, and I was mesmerized by these lines and counterpoints, and especially in the madrigals where everybody would sing a different line. And so musically, that's how this started coming about. I thought, well, what a great way to explore the possibilities with this brand new quartet. So the fellowship, where everybody's doing something just a little bit different. But I love the intro, where you're doing the bum 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 bum. Yeah. And then you guys started throwing in some unauthorized things that sounded great.
Always.
I think it was way to go boom, 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 boom. Wait, That's too many pum 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 pum.
Wait, we didn't put that one in there. Yeah,
But it's still the simplicity of just four of you, but you're singing about such a sweet topic that as we share each other's lives, as we share each other's hearts, and then Mo, you start sailing up in the higher regions on the bridge, which we're fellowshipping not only our hearts and our lives, but we're fellowshipping with God, the Trinity God, fellowshipping with the Father, with the Spirit, with Jesus. So that's why the bridge is nice. It's kind of, wow, it's all wrapping it together.
And there's nothing that's sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah. But if we walk in the light as He is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another.
Yeah.
The blood of Jesus continually cleanses us of all of our sin. I mean, that's about as sweet as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
There it goes. Quote the scripture again.
1 John 1:7.
But I love the music, how you kind of pick it up. For there's nothing as sweet, the parts kind of build up right there. And I don't think it's on the recording, but I love how later on in concert, how things would evolve, and George would start, he would get the Spirit and throw in more unauthorized things that ended up sticking permanently. Like did you do on the Sweet Fellowship? We're talking about sweet. I don't think that's on the recording, is it?
It is.
I can't hear that song now. And I don't think Acappella ever sings it now without those additions that were added later to the other canon, later versions. And it's like manuscripts. The archaeologists are finding out on this version in 1989, Mr. Pendergrass added this.
And Rodney would mess around with us because, we get to the end of the bridge. Fellowshipping in the Spirit. Short pause. And then boom, boom, boom. You got to the point where he'd just look at us. He wouldn't stop the next time. I was kind of standing there waiting for him to go boom.
He wouldn't start it for
He wouldn't start it.
He'd make us wait.
Everything begins with the bass man.
But I have to say, I love that. And then Mo comes in with his little.
In my weak falsetto first album jitters freshman sound. If there's any song I would love to remix, I'd love to be able to get a hold of the old Studer 2-inch tape and fix that up, man.
Nope. The die is cast.
People love it just like that.
Yeah.
Was that a Studer 24 track? The 2-inch tape?
Yeah, Studer Revox 24.
Wow. Now we're talking tech stuff.
Yeah.
But this was a great way to name the album and to start the album. Let's enjoy Sweet Fellowship.
Fellowshipping with one another as we walk in the light. Fellowshipping with one another as we walk in the light. For there's nothing as sweet as fellowship as we share each other's lives. For there's nothing as sweet as fellowship as we share each other's lives. When we give our hearts to each other, you can feel His love inside. When we give our hearts to each other, you can feel His love inside. For there's nothing as sweet as fellowship as we share each other's heart. For there's nothing as sweet as fellowship as we share each other's heart. fellowshipping with the Lord, fellowshipping in the Spirit, fellowshipping with the family. Fellowshipping with one another as we're walking in the light. Fellowshipping with one another as we're walking in the light. For there's nothing as sweet as fellowship as we share each other's lives. For there's nothing as sweet as fellowship as we share each other's lives. We're talking about sweet fellowship, sweet fellowship, sweet fellowship.
What do you remember about Criminal on the Cross? I remember being moved. Max Lucado is such an inspiring writer. One of the chapters in his book was called Tale of a Crucified Crook.
Yep.
And when I read that, I was just so moved and wanted to write this song, but not use the words Tale of the Crucified Crook. I said, I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. But I like it how, let's see, George is first. I'm saved, and then Mo, and then let's see. The baritone and the bass come in together. Yeah. So what do you remember about this song, recording it and singing it live?
I remember Bill Gaither. Go ahead. What, George?
I'm saying I don't remember anything about the recording process at all.
Me either.
I just remember all of the singing, the performing. So maybe you can tell me some about the recording. I kind of just blanked out on what the recording was like on this particular song.
I was going to say, I remember Bill Gaither loved this one a lot. I mean, that was kind of our ticket into the homecoming videos, was this song. And I remember the key change was always a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you never quite knew exactly where George was going to change the key to. Might have been a half step, might have been a full step.
Full step? Oh,
Right.
my God.
And
Yeah.
I was the second entrance, and I had like a millisecond to get it. So I was like, where's it going to go?
This is another song where I can't hear it, and I don't think it's ever sung without this extra step out that may not have been, if I'm mistaken, it's not on the recording, where George added the "Don't you know that I'm saved?" Did you put the "Don't you know"?
I think that was another piece of unauthorized collaboration.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I like it. And George, how you talked about you and Wayburn were used to going back and forth and bantering, and that was just so like breathing. And so I love it, that the bridge, "Do you know that I'm saved? I'm saved. I'm saved." And then Wayburn comes in, "Through Jesus I am saved.
Right.
Mercy showed the way. No more for me to say." That was magical.
Yeah, but so were the lyrics. So were the lyrics. They were just beautiful. I loved singing that part because that's what happens. His mercy is what it's all about, right? And that's what showed us. I love the lyrics on this one.
So George, you sing that first line. Don't you know that I'm saved? I'm saved through Jesus. I'm saved. Sing that, and then Waburn's going to echo you. It's not going to be in time.
I'm saved.
I'm saved.
I'm saved.
I'm saved.
Through Jesus, I am saved.
Wait, you forgot your part.
Through Jesus, I am saved.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, you even had the eyebrow going on that one. That was good.
Still got it.
And then George would go, "No more for me to say." And then Wayburn,
"No more for me to say."
And he did it differently every concert, right?
I still don't remember what I did. That's probably why.
How in the world can you do it differently every concert and it still sounds so beautiful? When I try to ad lib, sometimes it goes in truly unauthorized.
No, that's not true. But I tell you what, we had a good time exploring. I think not all music lends itself to being able to do a lot with. Some music, it's designed or it's written, and even if you try, you can't change it up much. It's not you don't have the space in the song that gives you the liberty to be able to do some of the things that we were able to do with some of our music. So it has a lot to do with a good song. You know a good song because a good song gives you opportunity to make it your own. And I think this is one of those type of songs, because this song changed a lot from the beginning of when we first learned it to when we started performing it and performing it a lot. Like the speed of the song, the additions, the ad-lib additions, all of those. And a lot of that has to do with how you're feeling, how it's making you feel inside.
We're doing some interviews with longtime fans and kind of becoming reacquainted with what their favorite songs are. And "Criminal on the Cross" shows up quite frequently as a favorite song. But little do a lot of people realize that song has brought us more trouble and criticism. And the opposite of fans, there are people who just say, "Oh, that song, that's not right. That's not right."
Sacrilege.
When we wrote it, we were just saying, okay, no one deserves to be saved. No one can earn it. No one's good enough. And if we can agree with that, it doesn't matter whether you're in prison or whether you're the crucified criminal. He didn't deserve it, but God granted him pardon and saved him. I don't deserve it. So in that way, I'm saved exactly like the criminal on the cross. I don't deserve it, but he saved me. And so I think we can celebrate that that none of us are worthy, but we can be saved like the criminal on the cross. And so it seems like every nation where we go to, people connect with the message of the song. They don't have to be a criminal to connect. And that's the odd thing, is that Wayburn, you're involved in a lot of prison ministry, and the neat thing about Celebrate Recovery and prisons is that they'll say, "Well, I know I've messed up," but then there's so many other people that almost have a self-righteous attitude, and they don't admit that they have issues and problems and they need the Lord. It's almost this self-sufficiency. I'm starting to preach now, so we need to get back to the song. Any other comments on this song?
The fact is that if any man or any woman is ever saved, it is by the grace of God.
Exactly.
And by his grace only.
Bingo. So I'm saved. We are saved.
Our preacher has a statement that he just made just this week. He says, so this is where we stand, because he was preaching on James. He says, we are saved by grace, judged by our works, but justified by faith. It's so true. It's hard for us to grapple with that we literally are saved by grace, and
not by righteous things which we have done, but according to his mercy, he saved us through the washing of rebirth and renewal.
In the Holy Spirit.
That's it. That's it. So
all of you preach.
Titus 3.
Let's listen to Criminal on the Cross.
Well, it was many years ago in the time of the Bible that they took him up to Calvary. They could have let him go, but instead they chose Barabbas just to set another criminal free. When they crucified the ever-loving King Master with compassion flowing from his eyes, well, he said to a thief who was begging him for mercy that today I live in paradise. And I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. Praise God, I'm saved. I'm saved, no more to suffer loss. Well, he said I'd live in paradise, and he's taken care of the cost. Hallelujah, I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. Well, on the judgment day, when all the people gather around him and they wait to hear what he will declare, there will never ever be more intense anticipation that has ever happened anywhere. And when they call my name to defend my reputation, there is only one thing I can say. I'm a wretch, I'm a worm, I'm a no good sinner, but he said I'll save you anyway. Oh, and I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. Praise God, I'm saved. I'm saved, no more to suffer loss. Well, he said I'd live in paradise, and he's taken care of the cost. Hallelujah, I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. Well, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved through Jesus. I am saved. Through Jesus, I am well, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. His mercy showed the way. Mercy showed the way. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. No more for me to save. No more for me to well, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved in paradise today. It was many years ago in the time of the Bible that they took him up to Calvary. They could have let him go, but instead they chose Barabbas just to set another criminal free. When they crucified the ever-loving King Master with compassion flowing from his eyes, well, he said to a thief who was begging him for mercy that today I live in paradise. Oh, and I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. Praise God, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. No more to suffer loss. Well, he said I'd live in paradise, and he's taken care of the cost. Hallelujah, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. Praise God, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. No more to suffer loss. Well, he said I'd live in paradise, and he's taken care of the cost. Hallelujah, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved like the criminal on the cross.
Is there a song that you enjoyed singing more than in concert than For the Lost?
Yeah.
I think the only other one for me would probably be Well on My Way, but I absolutely love singing For the Lost.
What is it about For the Lost that makes it special, or makes it special for the crowd, seemingly?
It's another message thing for me. We're lost, and without the grace of God that we just talked about, we're lost. And then the beauty of the melody, the harmonies, just a great song. Great song.
It's the perfect combination of the power of the message and the power of that arrangement. You know, when we locked that chord, even back then,
one chord. There's that one power.
One chord. You know, especially now when we're doing it in concert and we have more than 4 voices. We got some 6 voices, and we can throw in those color notes. And Anyway, it's just the beauty of how the power meets the power. It's a perfect combination. It's the perfect storm. It's a great
The
song.
unauthorized notes, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they are very unauthorized, but you should have authorized them a long time ago.
That's true. I think everybody that sings that is taken by the locking of that particular chord. That is just moving, especially when there's a lot of silence in the audience, and we sing that power that there really is something to musical harmonies that just come together in the right way. It's moving to you, and when you have the right words, it's.
And we've talked about this. We've talked about this often, but certain vowel sounds lend themselves to incredible locking. And this is the I sound, right? Help to realize that I sound just locks. I vowel.
And the A on came. For the lost he came. It's that.
Yeah.
I have never talked about vowels in this context. I'm a consonant man myself. I don't even know what is happening. I'm a consonant man, and you guys are talking vowels.
Is there a song about that somewhere?
Rodney said that a fan came up to him and said, "What was the words of that song? What did you sing on the words of that song?" He went, "Bum, bum, bum, bum."
I never. There are songs I think that we recorded that I probably couldn't even quote the lead lyrics because all I know was. Boom, 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 There you go.
You knew what it was. All right.
Yeah.
Very necessary. Very necessary. Well, that I think
to get irritable vowel syndrome.
No, he didn't. He didn't do that.
That's good.
I couldn't help it.
Musically, the contrast between that breathy unison and the power chord harmonies. It went, "Who can wipe the tears from your eyes?" Then 4-part harmony, "Help you realize." It was just so powerful.
It's a wall of sound. Really.
And it's interesting because during this particular album, we were focusing so much on simple 4-part harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing to me that you can get that kind of sound with just 4 parts.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
Very different voices too. It's easier when families or voices that are similar, it's easier to get that lock sound. But you guys are so different, all 4, but it sounded so good when you locked into that. But it starts off with a dum 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 dum.
Yeah.
We've got to figure out a way we can do this where we can be synced up, locked up, where we can sing together some of these episodes. Anything else you remember about this song, Luke 19:10, for the Son of Man came to seek
to save what was lost.
So let's listen to For the Lost.
From your eyes, help you realize who can take your burdens and cares, ready now to share. awesome is his name, Jesus. He always is the same. Jesus, my Redeemer, for the lost he came. Who can wipe the tears from your eyes? Help you realize. Who can take your burdens and cares? Ready now to share. Jesus, how awesome is his name, Jesus. He always is the same. Jesus, my Redeemer, for the lost he came.
Again, George, you have since the recording added unauthorized runs and lines that are now forever embedded into the performance of that song. Anytime Acappella sings nowadays, we have to add the "I'm talking about Jesus, my Redeemer." I mean, it's not complete without that line. So I'm glad that you've added to. The Bible says you're not supposed to add to or take from, but you added to. And it was so. Tell me about "View That Holy City."
Well, this is one of those songs. I think one of the ones you mentioned to us that you were trying to capitalize those simple, easy to sing type of songs, and wanted some stuff from our background. And this is one of those songs that comes from Black church backgrounds. This is songs, these kind of songs they've sung in churches for years and years. I have no idea where this came from, but I know I've heard it many, many times. View That Holy City.
I think this is the only non-original on the album. Is that right? I think you wrote all the other songs, didn't you?
Didn't we do something? I feel good. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I found that
good.
Right.
I found that one in I think in Bible college days. I'd heard that one. That started, but Holy City again was a concert barnstormer. People loved it. Had a lot of energy, but again, it was you guys each stepping in. But boy, if you didn't know the words, if you didn't know when you came in or are supposed to come in, you were left behind.
Yeah.
There was no Wayburn. Did you ever forget your part?
Only once, Keith.
I wish I could say that.
He knows I'm kidding. That's why he asked you.
View that holy city. Meet my love in Jesus. Sit at the welcome table. Feast on milk and honey. Sing and never get tired. But in between every phrase I just said, each one of you had to view that holy. Answer your turn. I mean, it's coming fast and furious.
Right. And I think what I liked is everybody lending their own
style,
interpretation, and style to each of the lines. That was fascinating.
But this is another song that got a lot of unauthorized editions as the years went along. I mean, it went in all kinds of places. You know,
you wouldn't know the song by the time we were done at the end of it.
No.
But it lent itself to that, because even in the studio, which is unlikely for a lot of recorded finished products, it stops in the middle, and all of you are Yeah, come on, sing it. And then George takes off. And now that I listen back to it, I wish we would have allowed about 10 minutes for George to keep going there. And of course, in concert, you could take more time. And I remember seeing you guys in concert where George, the audience was with you, and you just kept going. You kept going, and just about the time I thought you were going to start the song, or the other guys thought you were going to start the song, restart it. You ain't never gonna. I thought that is remarkable. That's great. That's the way we should. Let's go back and record it again and get all those extra step outs. And you guys were all in the studio, which doesn't sound like a studio recording when you're, oh, come on. I forgot what you said. Wavering Mo, Rodney, y'all were kind of cheering him on as he was cutting loose. But and the silence. I'm gonna view. No, where is it? I'm gonna sing and never get tired. Does that bring back concert memories?
Have you ever considered? We don't have any a cappella live things, do we?
Yeah, one live from Paris, where
okay.
Barry and Kevin Schaefer, and but we need more live recordings because the people love.
They're so hard. You're right. Live recordings are so elusive.
Yeah. Mo, so you're on Live from Paris, right, Mo?
No, I produced it. It was right after I came off the road, and so I was just kind of overseeing the whole thing.
And people think that that's Paris, France, when we say Acappella Live from Paris.
Well, the artwork didn't help. We used the old French, cinema roll look for the artwork. But I want to kind of get back to what George said a minute ago about this song, which I think is one of the really cool things that God did. There are a bunch of white youth groups out there right now who are singing stuff that originated from the black culture, and they have no idea that this is one of those songs. Youth groups sing the song "Get Right, Church, Let's Go Home." That was never sung by youth groups until we added it to our program. And there's 2 or 3 others just like that, and I really appreciate that. That's another unintended consequence of what we were doing. The guys took hold of it and introduced some culture. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Rodney brought that up recently to me, how some songs made it to a later edition of hymnals because those songs were songs that Rodney and I recorded, and that was just really so encouraging to see. But I love how you guys did the step out on I'm going to meet my love in Jesus. But it's 3-part harmony way up there. Right. And of course, George always had it in the really nice, really nice. So let's enjoy again in memory lane, Holy City.
You know that I'm gonna view that holy city. Oh, I'm gonna view that holy city one of these days. Hallelujah. I'm gonna view that holy city. I'm gonna view that holy city one of these days. One of these days. You know that I'm gonna meet my loving Jesus. Oh, I'm gonna meet my loving Jesus one of these days. Hallelujah. I'm gonna meet my loving Jesus. I'm gonna view that holy city, and I will meet my loving Jesus one of these days. One of these days. You know that I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Oh, I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna view that holy city, and I will meet my loving Jesus. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. One of these days. Yes, and I'm gonna feast on milk and honey. Oh, I'm gonna feast on milk and honey one of these days. Hallelujah. I'm gonna feast on milk and honey. I'm gonna view that holy city, and I will meet my loving Jesus. We're gonna sit at the welcome table, and we will feast on milk and honey one of these days. One of these days. You know that one of these days come on. Up there with my Lord. won't be tired no more. You know that I'm gonna sing and never get tired. Oh, I'm gonna sing and never get tired one of these days. Hallelujah. I'm gonna sing and never get tired. I'm gonna do that holy sing, and I will meet my loving Jesus. We're gonna sit at the welcome table, and we will feast on milk and honey. Keep singing, singing, never get tired. One of these days, one of these days. You know that I'm gonna view that holy sing. Oh, I'm gonna view that holy sing. What I see, I'm gonna view that holy sing. I'm gonna view that holy city, and I will sing and never get tired. We're gonna sing and never get tired. And we will sing and never get tired. We're gonna sing and never get tired. One of these days, one of these days.
We come to a song that was to become the perennial concert closer. And a lot of people's favorite, Well on My Way. And before you guys start laughing, I'll go ahead and admit we were in Arkansas.
Yes.
Let me tell it. You tell me if it's correct. We were in Arkansas for a youth rally, and it was an outdoor event, and we were getting the sound put together and ready to go. And I wanted to write a song, so I put some words together, and it really had a country feel.
Oh, I can sing it.
I'm singing every day, lifting up my Savior who died. And my soul will cry, I'm completely satisfied, all because I'm well on my way.
Yeah. Do you have to always put that?
What was so bad about that?
I thought that was funny.
Wail on it, it's not country. My Savior who died.
So I presented to you guys,
Oh.
and I don't know if you said it was unauthorized, but you said it shouldn't be authorized. So I put it in my pocket. I had it written down on paper. I put that in my pocket. And then we went out to the microphones and the sound check, and we're just wanting to test out the subwoofers and the sound. And they weren't ready for the official sound check, but our mics were on. And so you started playing with it. Oh, and then the accent. And then I started thinking, hey, let's try some things. We were ad-libbing and kind of a Styx, the rock group Styx. And we're sing his praises, sing his praises, sing. And then we started stacking harmonies, but we did that for a long time. And so it kind of got old after a while. We said, hey, this sounds cool. And I remember one of you said, hey, why don't you work on some verses for that? So I walked backstage.
I got some somewhere.
Reached in my pocket.
There it was. Instead of listen well, I'm on my way. Listen well, I'm on my way, sing every day. My Savior who died. So it had a whole nother inflection. And
oh my gosh, that's
my story, and I'm sticking with it right there.
That's amazing.
I had completely forgotten about that.
Yeah, me too.
On purpose, right?
No, I mean that's a great story because it just goes to show how changing the tempo of a song can give a song entirely different life. You know?
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
But the magic of the song, or at least the core of it in the beginning, was the sing his praises, sing his praises. And then we had those gaps in the middle, and that's how it became. George, I guess you're the first one. Don't you know I'm well on my sing his praises, and then his praise. Then Mo, Now that I'm well on my way, his praises sing his. Wayburn, don't you know I'm well on my way?
Burn.
His praises. Then Rodney comes in. Camino con él. Oh wait, that's the Spanish version.
Yeah.
Well on my way. Yeah.
Wow.
How does a song start? I mean, what's the kind of the first thing that we hear? Now that's the bass, right?
Yeah.
That's the bass. Yeah.
That's amazing. Everything starts with bass.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Look up. So how did the? Does anybody remember how the way pow?
I don't know.
I don't remember how it started, but it sure became part of the song and has lived on for generations.
You can tell the first time concert attenders because when everybody else is way, they're going, "What is all that?"
Yeah, they're looking around.
What all that?
What did I miss?
Well, this
Is that
is
written down somewhere?
This is one of the ones in concert that had. I mean, the audience absolutely loved it because it had audience participation too. So it was the audience would do this. Remember?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They loved it. They loved it.
Wayburn came over to me one time. I was on stage, and you go, "Way, bow."
Oh, we did it forever after that.
Yeah. What a fun song. Anything else you remember about "Well on My Way," other than how long until it became the closer, at least the first closer of a concert?
Quick. I mean, as soon as the album came out, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that.
I remember the end. We had to. What was it? The way. We had to point.
The way.
Count to 8, and all lower our hands together at the same time. That's our only little bit of organized choreography for the entire show.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you get people really going. It's a real driving type song, and so people just naturally get up on their feet. I mean, it's just one of those songs that gets people out of the seat and on their feet, and you use this as your closer so that it ensures that every concert ends with a standing ovation.
That's good. That's really good.
Guys, think.
I never thought about that.
Wow.
Brilliant, Keith. Brilliant.
Let's relive it again. "Well on My Way."
Sing his praises, sing his praises. 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 Oh, listen while I'm on my way, I'm singing every day, lifting up my Savior who died. Listen and my soul will cry, I'm completely satisfied, all because I'm well on my way. I'm well on my way. Sing his praises, sing his praises. 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 Oh, ever since I'm on my way, I've got better things to say. Better 'cause I'm on the right track. I'm complete, nothing I lack. Now there is no turning back. Listening to Jesus the way. I'm well on my way. Sing his praises, sing his praises. Sing his praises, sing his praises. Sing his praises. Sing his praises, sing his praises. Well on my way, well on my way, well on my way. praises, sing his praises. Sing his praises, sing his praises. Sing his praises, sing his praises. Oh, well on my way, well on my way, well on my way. Well on my way, well on my way, well on my way. Hey, hey, now that I'm well on my way, well on my way, well on my way, well on my way. On my way, well on my way, well on my way, well on my way. No way.
His righteousness. What comes to your mind on this song?
The smooth, creamy voice of my brother Wayburn Dean.
Butter.
Creamy.
It's like butter.
Butter.
His voice is like butter. And it's beautiful because, again, it's right out of the scriptures. You know, God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. And so you put the scripture together with your voice, Wayburn. I mean, it is one of the sweetest, smoothest songs around.
Well, you can't go wrong with scripture, right? And I think it was Dwayne who said the last time, he said, it wasn't until later that he realized the power of that verse. And that, you know, how important is it that God specifically made him because we're not able to be righteous, that he can be righteous for us.
Yes.
It is a really deep concept, Keith.
Exactly. 2 Corinthians 5:21.
Yes.
And the paraphrase would be, God became something he was not so that we can become something we're not.
Right.
Hey,
God became sin so we could become righteous. But I love it that people, it doesn't bother me that it's repetitive. Well, it probably would have bothered me, the repetitive nature of the song, the way it was written, if Wayburn, if you hadn't have put all those nice filling in every space with such creativity, then I don't know about you guys, it doesn't bother me at all.
No, as a matter of fact, you know, it's not often you can sing a song that repeats itself over and over that does not feel like you're repeating yourself. Yeah. I mean, and that's due to the soloist bringing us along, moving, you know, giving variety and making the song just feel good. It's a feel good song as well as a song that makes you think.
And at the end,
being repeated, I think too.
At the end of the bridge, I love that part because you have this suspended chord that's half the group resolves down and half the group resolves up. So it's like it's locked, and then they come together in the middle, and it's very unique.
Are you talking about where Wayburn goes really high?
No, and we'll see his face.
The bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Now we are in him. Yeah, because Waybur's high and he comes down, and the lower parts are low and they come up. So it's like anyway, pretty cool. You'll hear it. Second.
I thought you were talking about the trio where Wayburn jumps way high, but some of you go up there with him.
Become his righteousness. Yeah.
And it keeps on going, it keeps on going, and keeps on going. And then later Wayburn says, I got to become his righteousness.
Unauthorized.
Wayburn, were you at the concert, one of the recent concerts? I wanted to end the song with a unison of that lick that you came up with. We got to become his righteousness. And I taught everybody that, and I got vetoed.
Right.
There's only one person that can do that.
That's right.
Oh, that's fun. It's just unbelievably fun.
Well, again, I'm so glad that people learn scripture through the songs that we sing. Let's listen to his righteousness.
God made him who had no sin so that we might become his righteousness. Instead of ourselves, he offered him, so that we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. Holy God was offered for us, so we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. It's hard to believe we can be spiritually well, so that we might become his righteousness. The loving God tasted the essence of hell, so that we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. Holy God was offered for us, so we might become his righteousness. God in the flesh lived as a man, will of the Father, fulfilling his plan. Jesus condemned, taking our place. Now we are in him and we'll see his face. God made him who had no sin, so that we might become his righteousness. Instead of ourselves, he offered him, so that we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. Holy God was offered for us, so we might become his righteousness. So that we might become his righteousness. Holy God was offered for us, so we might become his righteousness. Become his righteousness. We might become his righteousness. Become his righteousness. We might become his righteousness. We might become his righteousness. To become his righteousness. We might become his righteousness. Become his righteousness. We might 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 become his righteousness.
I feel good. And we're not talking about the James Brown song, but
but we did add that in at one point on the road. Remember that?
Unauthorized again.
It was very much unauthorized.
Yeah.
In the middle of the song, we cut out and started, I feel good.
Barry Wilson. Yeah. So this song, the perfect opener. You already alluded to it. Well, you said it was the Grand Ole Opry stage. There was a youth event there.
Yeah.
And was that the first concert?
That was the first concert. Yeah.
I forgot that. But up until that time, for a few years before that, Acappella was 2 members, Rodney and me. And the first one to come out was George, and then Mo, and then Wayburn, and then they recognized Rodney. So this was a great way to introduce the song as you came out one at a time. Did you ever come out late to where you got to the microphone after your part was supposed to start?
On larger stages? Oh yeah. And fell on the way out.
And caught the mic and kept singing. I'll never forget that. That was amazing. We were at Footloose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was all excited, and he got up on stage, running, and he tripped, and we thought he was gonna bite the dust. And right before he fell, he caught the mic, grabbed it, and kept on singing. I almost couldn't recover. It was hilarious.
I think the weirdest thing was he tried to act like it didn't happen.
Like that was planned.
Except my face is turning red.
Oh man, it was something. That was really something.
Kevin did the same thing years later.
Yeah.
Only he splatted out across the entire stage, flat as could be. But Kevin wanted to make a joke out of it, so he just laid there, put his hand on his head on stage. Flat on stage.
No song.
Nobody got it. That joke did not go over. It's just,
They're like, what? Get up!
what's wrong with that boy?
But this is another one of those songs where a lot of groups want to sing it and imitate it, but there's no George Pendergrass out there. There's only one, and this one just excited the crowd because Doc would come out with this voice, and they just loved his voice. In the beginning, like you said, they were like, "Wait a minute, what? Aka who? Wait a minute." But then once they knew Acappella, oh my, they couldn't wait for this song. They just
But it's such a simple song, you know. When you look at it, there's really nothing to it.
Right.
So it takes a voice like that to get it started, to get it rolling. Other groups have sung this, and it comes out very simple, you know. But the way we got it, because we were all, you know, there's something about the way we sang. We were full on for most songs, you know. We really were projecting. We were pumping those mics and full voice sound, whereas other groups tend to be a little more reserved and more refined. And I think that's one of the big differences in us and other groups, especially on this song. This song really shows that, illustrates it.
But George's voice is just so infectious. I don't even know how to say it except that it's got an energy that is inimitable. Yeah. I mean, I don't know of another voice, my brother, on the planet like yours that it's just got, I mean, just when you speak, when you open your mouth to sing, it is, I go a different place, man. It takes me to a different place because there's no one like you. And those vocal runs and gymnastics that you do, you don't hear any basses do that, and it's for a reason because it's just a gift that you have, and you are so blessed. And Mo is exactly right. When you come out, or Wayburn, when you come out and sing that, just to hear those first few notes is magical.
Yeah, because George has this bounce to his voice that most of us don't have. He bounces between the notes. You know, it's like, well, I feel good. That little, all of those. And most people just kind of sing it straight and not die. Right. He doesn't know how to do that, I don't think.
Well, thank you all. That's very gracious of you. But you know, the reason I thought this song was it was so interesting to me is because it reminds me of the thing that I remember the most about a group called the Manhattans was the Manhattans and the Temptations. You always knew Eddie Kendrick's voice. You always knew what's the lead singer, whatever. You knew the lead singer, the high singer, you knew the bass singer, and each one had a different personality to it. That's what I feel like was captured in this song so well. We all came in, we brought in our own unique voice part and style. Yeah. And I think when I listen to people trying to emulate that, that's kind of what they won't just sing it straight. They want to sing it and they want to do, okay, I want to do Mo's part, and everybody knows what Mo's part. I want to do Wayburn's part. I want to do George's part. I want to do Rodney's part. But they did it like that because it was distinctive, each particular voice. And I've always loved that kind of stuff about groups like the Temptations and the Manhattans, when you can listen to those special sounds and styles.
Yeah.
Well, on second thought, after listening to the ending, I don't think this lends itself to a fade out song, because if I remember correctly, it fades out, and seems like we should have gone a different route than a fade out on this song. It works on a lot of other songs, but I think it was in Michigan, just not that long ago, where we had one of our reunion concerts, and we added the 3-step ending, which I really like. There's something about the sweet spirit of my Jesus. Then a step out. Something about the sweet spirit of my Jesus. Something about the spirit of my Jesus that makes me feel rest. Good, good, good. I like the finality to it instead of fading out like it is on the.
I didn't remember that we were fading on this.
Yeah. And it doesn't.
Who produced the album?
Yeah, somebody talked to him. Well, you guys make me feel good, and God makes us feel good. So let's listen to I Feel Good.
Well, I feel good, good, good. Well, I feel good. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, 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 good. Well, I can love. Well, I can love. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me love good, good, good. Yeah. Well, I've got joy. Well, I've got joy down in my soul. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that gives me such joy. Well, I can sing. Well, I can sing. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me sing good, 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 good. Well, I can serve. I can serve. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me serve good, good, good. Wait a minute. Do you feel good? Good, good. Do you feel good? Then clap your hands. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, 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 good. I feel good, good, good. I feel good. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, 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 good.
We already talked about For the Lost. And one of the themes that permeates a lot of our albums is evangelism, is the good news needs to be shared and not hoarded and just kept within ourselves. And so this song, I love it, Rodney. You came, you climbed up out of the base regions, and you showed us what you could do up there in the James Taylor range. And I love your lead on this.
Yes.
To win as many as possible. How did it feel to have a lead that wasn't just accentuating your beautiful bass voice?
Well, pretty scary, to be honest, with guys that are surrounding me that have amazing lead vocals. Yeah, pretty nervous and humbling, because obviously it's not my wheelhouse. It's not, where I normally spend my time. But to be honest, I love doing it because I didn't get to do it very often. But yeah, just to sing those lyrics, there's kind of an urgency. We've got to go into all the world. We've got to tell people about Jesus, and like the Apostle Paul said, we want to win as many as possible before time is up. So yeah, I had a lot of fun, and it was such a smooth the background that these 3 other guys put together, their voices. It was so smooth. That backup part really worked well.
It seemed like you guys enjoyed that backup role because you went totally into this backup. You were missing these other groups.
This is one of my favorite ones to sing. It's one of those driving in the rain in the window, and there's rain and the things are going.
Yeah, it's got a great feel to it. You know, it's one of those type of songs that makes you feel good when you sing it. Even if you don't know what the person is singing about, it's you. Why did you mention James Taylor? What is? Because every time I hear that song, I think of James Taylor. What?
Well, it sounds like him. You know, Rodney's upper range has that I don't want to say nasal because it's not nasal, but it's that closed-in pinch tone that James Taylor has.
Yeah.
So,
that's amazing because every time I've heard that song, that's the first thing that comes to mind. James Taylor. And, yeah.
Everyone needs to share.
and Wayburn had that.
Is great on this song.
No, it was great. I loved it.
Wayburn, did you create that? Because you was kind of saying you did that moving baritone bass line that was, you know, because I just did accent notes, but you kind of had this do thing.
Yeah.
Did you create that, or did?
Yeah. It was. It just felt like it needed it. It
was
felt
a nice kind of counter to what Rodney was doing.
Yeah. I love that stuff.
Real breathy, real airy and breathy. You know, backup. Real sweet. Real sweet.
Got a good feel. This song does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as great as the lead is, I think sometimes the backup and the counters are just so far back in importance. They really come out of there, and we need to share.
Oh yeah.
And it provided that bed for Rodney to come back in. Not many taken it, many refuse. The Pips, Gladys Knight, and the Pips are back. Share the good news.
I'll be a Pip anytime.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Rodney's saying we've got the living water, and we've got the spirit, and we've got the good news. Now we need to share it.
Yes.
And not just with one person, but we need to share it as the Lord wants to win as many as possible.
We.
We've got to go into all of the world. We can't be happy until everyone's heard. We've got a message that everyone needs to share. We need to share. Not many taking it, 'cause many refuse. Need ambassadors to share the good news. We've got a mission to take everybody there. Taking them there to win as many as possible. To win as many as possible. To win as many as possible. We've got the power since he gave a new birth. We've got the water to take care of their thirst. We've got a spirit that's leading us in the fight. Leading the fight. The devil's plowing and he's leading astray. Souls in darkness each and every day. We've got a mission to take them into the light. Taking the light to win as many as possible. To win as many as possible. To win as many as possible. We can't be happy standing and waiting, we just can't be satisfied. We can't be satisfied. The numbers growing of people who may not hear. They may not hear. hurry to the world while there's still life. It's up to us to be winning them far and near. Oh, we've got to go into all of the world. We can't be happy until everyone's heard. We've got a message that everyone needs to share. We need to share. Not many take it, 'cause many refuse. We need ambassadors to share the good news. We've got a mission to take everybody there. Taking them there to as many as possible. To win as many as possible. To win as many as possible.
Answer my prayer. Isn't this more like a pop song, the way Well on My Way almost moved into that, not rock or pop style? This one kind of has more of that, at least at that time, that pop sound.
Was this a cover of a His Image song? Or is it, am I just out in left field on that? No?
It's totally original.
But I do know that I felt so. You know how you have an artist and you know their tone. There's only one Keith Lancaster tone, and so you know how you go back and you're listening thing and you can boom, whoa, I know that voice, I know that tone, and that's the way it is when Keith comes in on this song, and it reminded me of all of those songs that I listened to back before everybody's talking, and that tone in there, it's like. That's just really great.
You've got to realize how hard it was, even though I was rewarded being part of the process and right in the middle of it. It was hard to be off the road and to not be singing. So this, when you look at this and compare to the other albums that were yet to come, and you guys were gracious enough that I had 2 leads on this album, even though I wasn't really officially in the group. So it was a nice transition to put the man out, you know, and
Put the old man away.
Yeah, so I had Well on My Way and Answer My Prayer, and I loved getting to be a part of it still. And then when I came out on the road to be with you occasionally, I got to sing some. But this is one of those songs, and it was hard at first. You know, I'm struggling with this. Wow, this transition. I've been on the road since the very beginning. And now Acapella's out there and I'm not out there on the road. So it was, so I'm trying to, how do I deal with this and with my self-image? And so someone says, well, wow, see, there was just you and Rodney, you were the lead singer and it took 3 people to replace you.
That's one good way of looking at it.
And then the reality came that after you guys came, the popularity of the group went, so I get out of the group and it really takes off.
Same thing happened when I left. Yeah.
So Answer My Prayer is Jesus. He said, ask, seek, knock. Just like George was praying for more opportunities to sing full time in ministry, and God, it's not just a false promise. He said, ask and you'll receive.
That's right.
It's not, the answer is not always what we want, but I think this is a great reminder that we can call on the creator of the universe and he will answer our prayer. And so Mo, I guess you started singing this lead in
in concert. And I was trying to match what you had done on the album, which was a challenge because it was so well done.
I think I started this with AVB. I need to talk with Wes McKenzie. It seems like AVB was right when they were doing the transition. I have a memory of teaching some of them some parts. We were at a swimming pool, the AVB guys, and I started having them sing different parts. And I think this was how this came about. And then it somehow
That's
Right. Y'all stole it. You did.
that's what I remember. I don't know if we were at a hotel somewhere in the hotel swimming pool, but I remember this big cavernous sound, that just echoed in there. And I can remember you teaching the parts to this. John Laws was there. You were just pulling in everybody. So we had a lot of different parts going on. But you're right. It was in a swimming pool. I think we must have been in a place where we were at a motel or hotel that had a swimming pool, and you were teaching us this song.
And then I went, listen, well, I'm on my way. I'm saying, no. That's a long story.
No.
Answer my prayer. I know you'll answer. So any other memories of concert? I know you guys had backup singers then later on, namely Denise Sweet.
Yeah, Nisi and
Dwayne
Dwayne.
Adams. Anybody ever heard of him? He came on as a backup singer originally. Which so with your three offers, well, the first one Mo was backup singer, and then AVB, and then
Right. Yeah, well, I guess backup singer was AVB but it was before AVB was started, and then AVB.
They broke off and became very popular.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Any other memories on this song?
The high pieces on it. I mean, you're like in the stratosphere. Is this the one?
Yeah. At the end,
man,
you'll see skies.
Talk about. I think we just on this one we put the Georgettes to shame, dude.
Yeah, really.
Out of the stratosphere.
Answer.
Mo did a great job in concert with this song, but Keith, honestly, I've often thought, like when you write a song, you have a feeling and you kind of want to convey that. And when you hand it off to someone else, obviously they're going to do and bring something else to the table.
Right.
But you were perfect as the lead on the album because you knew where you wanted to go with it. You knew how you wanted it to sound. And I can think of nobody else that could have done this better for the album than you.
Well, one of the passages that I grapple with, and I'm sure you probably do too, in James, it says, count it pure joy. Count it pure joy when you face, that's what inspired the line, when tough times annoy, I can count it pure joy, perseverance. But that's hard to really get my mind around when you're having a struggle.
Were you coming off of voice rest? On this, or was that earlier? Because if you were, I'm shocked at the notes that you were able to hit. But I know there was a time when you had to not talk for a while.
Yeah, and that's kind of what led to the whole exploration of finding you guys to come in and actually, the quartet was the original concept back in 1982. It was to have a quartet. And then we talked about this in previous albums. Then it went from 3 to 4 to 5, back to 3, back to 2. And then, boom, it landed in 1988 back to the original concept of having 4 guys. And I can think of no 4 guys better to take this ministry and take it to another level with your talent, combined with a unique combination to share God's word to all the places that he allowed us to go. So I think he answered our prayer.
For sure.
Seek and I will find. Answer my prayer. You will answer my prayer. I make the mistake of working on my own, but then I awake to see I can't alone. You wrap your arms around me, then you comfort me and give me just what I need. Answer my prayer. You will. I know you'll answer my prayer. It is mine. Answer my prayer. You will. I know you'll answer my prayer. Seek and I will find. Answer my prayer. You will. I know you'll answer my prayer. Ask and it is mine. Answer my prayer. You will. I know you'll answer my prayer. Seek and I will find. When troubles defy, you know that I can rely on your providence. When tough times annoy, I can count it pure joy, perseverance. The trials that I've had and the things I've done, the good and the bad comes to everyone. With any situation, it's assuring to know anytime I can go. That special place alone, I long to meet you there. Long to meet you there. I'm happy knowing you'll answer my prayer. I'm happy knowing that you'll answer my prayer. You will answer. Ask and it is mine. You will answer. Seek and I will find. My prayer. You will answer. My prayer. Ask and it is mine. My prayer. You will know that you'll answer my prayer. Seek and I will find. My prayer. You will answer. Ask and it is mine.
To be with you. Wow. Wow. I can't wait to hear what you're about to say on this song.
Well, I do know this, that sometimes when someone tells me a story about a song and what's behind that particular song, it does change things for me.
Yeah.
And I think this one had an interesting storyline behind it that I'd love to hear you tell. That I remember when I heard this, I was thinking, oh my goodness, you know, God brings about a message in the strangest ways.
Well, I remember Brett Testerman asking me about this song. He said, were you going through a major struggle and really grappling with things? What brought this song about? And I said, it was a homework project for a music theory class. His face went, oh.
It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's I just thought, to me, when I finally heard that story, I thought God can bring a message out of anything, any circumstance, you know, a school project.
yeah.
But I know that the lyric moves me. It's one of those songs where I can truly, it's in a range where I can truly express how I'm feeling, and yet at the same time, it's one of those songs where I'm not growling all the way through the song.
Right.
I can kind of sing in a register that I don't get a chance to sing in a soft kind of manner to express emotion.
Well, George, just because it was a homework project doesn't mean I didn't feel the meaning of those words. I would give a million worlds to be with you, because that had to have that sentiment in order to come up with those words. But musically, it starts off with the arpeggios, the boom, 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 boom. Again, hearkening back to Sweet Fellowship and For the Lost, these simple 4-part things happening, but it provided, I thought, a really nice bed for you to take it and make it your own and express really a very intimate song.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful melody, and like Doc said, he's really amazing at rhythm and feeling, and this one he could just melodically sing it, and it was, and just make you feel what you wrote, and that's a tricky thing, to be able to make the audience feel what the artist, the writer, really intended for them to feel. And Doc, you did a great job on that.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Well, and, you know, that's an interesting question, because we don't all get a chance to know the author and to know the author's intent. So every now and then I hope and I wish for occasions where the writers of songs are sitting around, especially songs that we all know, and then to find out what the writer was actually thinking about, or what was their intent. And sometimes it's beautiful to hear, you know, people are interpreting this and interpreting that, and the writer was going, no, that wasn't at all what I was thinking about. Yeah. And yet it's, you know, it means something different to different people. But I like this particular song because it's a personal song.
There's Keith, and we all can remember, is probably, I don't know, maybe mid 90s or so, when the songs, Christian songs, you couldn't tell if they were love songs or Christian songs by the lyric. You won't ever find that in a Keith Lancaster song, and that's what I love. You will know that this song is about Jesus Christ, and or how we're to relate to him.
I love history and studying, especially like in the UK. Sharon, my wife, knows more about UK history than a lot of residents in the UK. And as you study the royalty and how when you approach the Queen, and you don't turn your back on the Queen, and there's a certain protocol. And I think of approaching God, and we get to bow, and we're not worthy. We get to come into his presence. So that's the idea. Lord, I now address you. I approach you, and I tell you, I can't see how this could happen to one like me. So that's a picture that I see in the beginning of this song, and having a dialogue, not from a angry lament, which that happens in the Psalms, where people are having an angry conversation with God. Mm-hmm. This is more one of those approaching in humility and saying, wow, I address you, I approach you. And I just love how George put wings to it. After that,
let me jump in here. I remember in the studio when we were recording. This is one of those times, Wayburn, when we were all together. You know, in the early days, we were all in the studio all the time, all together. But George, I think we had pretty much laid down the bed of music, and George was coming in to cut the lead. And George, you got to the end there where you do this, you know, I'd give a million worlds like this to be with you in this place. And I remember just my jaw hitting the floor thinking, how can a man sing like this? How blessed is he to have a voice like this? And, you know, really just kind of welling up with tears. And all of a sudden you were like, I think I can do it better. Let's do it again. I was like, no, don't erase that.
Yeah.
Another track. Keep what you got. You were just like, I think I can do it better. I was like, no way can you get any better. And I think you laid it down again and changed it up, and that's what got on the album. But I was so blown away by this gift and how, you know, a lot of people can carry a song, but not a lot of people can unload it. And you just poured it out, man. You just unloaded this thing, and yet you were like, oh, I think I can do it better. Wow. Whatever we got down on tape was just beautiful, brother.
And what a time to do it too. You know, like I said earlier about George, if he feels this thing, you're going to get some magic. And I think at the end there, when it says that piece, oh my goodness, George it just brought it, and we were like, oh, what just happened right now?
Yeah, exactly.
You talk about holy moments in the studio that can't be replicated, that can't be manufactured.
Right.
We talk about that often. If I had to choose one of the most impacting and significant holy moments in all my history in recording in the studio and the albums, that was one when George took this into another.
Yeah, man.
That's more than I can handle. That's man. That's.
I think Mo, you were in studio position.
As usual.
We could hear what was going on, and so we were listening to see, and it was going great. But it kind of it instead of just going from 0 to 60 just immediately, right about near the end, where and if you started taking it up on the energy, could be honored just to gaze upon your face. You were taking it up there, but then at the end, that's where the magic happened.
Yeah.
And we went to the Mount of Transfiguration.
Yeah.
and there, if you remember, it was just silence after that. And then a bunch of
I'll never forget that moment.
Wow.
And what a way.
That's very humbling.
What a way to end an album that was the beginning of this combination going to the world. And the songs are still, even as we speak, are going to the world. And Lord willing, we'll continue going here and there and taking this message. But it's just such an honor to be with you guys. And it's an honor to still minister with you guys and to hear these stories about this special album and this final song, To Be With You.
Dear Lord, I now address you and tell you I can see how you could give your precious life for a human wretch like me. But if it would be possible to thank you face to face, I would give a million worlds like this to be with you in that place. Please hear my prayer, my Savior, and please don't make it long till I can live and share with you the feelings of this song. 'Cause I'm so weak and sinful, oh, who else would plead my case? I would give a million worlds like this to be with you in that place. Be kind to me, oh Father, when judgment day draws near. I'll serve you and I'll praise your name while I am waiting here. And if I could be honored just to gaze upon your face, I would give a million worlds like this to be with you in that place. I'd give a million worlds like this to be with you in that place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love you guys.
Love you, man.
You too, man.
Hey,
You, bro.
Really good to see you.
let's sing together at some point in our life before we become too old where we can't.
I'm for that.
I'm in.
His great example is the one I see. Nobody else is good enough for me. Never will be perfect even though I try. Gonna keep working till the day I die. Of all the great people who have lived before, there's not another person who has loved us more. To make us and to take us underneath his wings. Now my heart can really sing. He is fighting for living, is perfect and easy to see. It's for me. So I now want to follow and find out how much I can be. How much I can be. I wanna be like him. His great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be like keep him. Working till the day I die. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. Of all the styles of living that are here today, not a single one can show a better way. The life of love and caring for your fellow man is part of his eternal plan. And the selfless devotion within your life can be real. Very real. Why not try it and live it, and then you'll know how I feel. You'll know how I feel. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. To be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. Nobody else but Jesus. Nobody else will do. Nobody else will do. Nobody else but the Savior can ever see me through. For he's holding me and guiding me along this narrow way. Oh, I want to learn my Master's ways. Of all the great people who have lived before, there's not another person who has loved us more. To make us and to take us underneath his wings. Now my heart can really sing. He is fighting for living, is perfect and easy to see. It's for me. So I now want to follow and find out how much I can be. How much I can be. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Oh, I wanna be. Nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna keep working till the day I die. I wanna be like his great example is the one I see. Nobody else is good enough for me. Oh, I wanna be. Never will be perfect even though I try. Gonna keep working till the day I die. Oh, I want to be like him. I wanna be like him. Your love is better than life.
Hi, I'm Rodney Britt. I'm here with my friend Keith Lancaster, my buddy, and we are talking about the album Better Than Life.
Better Than Life, 1987?
I think it was 87, yeah.
Because Traveling Shoes was 85, Conqueror's 86,
86.
and this was 87. Man, you're getting old.
I feel it. I feel it. My knees, my back, yeah.
Eventually, I'll get some gray hair. You think?
Hey, I'm liking the goatee action there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that came through the pandemic.
Yeah.
We didn't have pictures on our cover. Traveling Shoes, Conquerors, Better Than Life. Why was that? Why did we not?
I think it was because you didn't know who was coming or going. and I think the idea was if people come and go, then people aren't going to look at an album cover and say, hey, where's that guy?
Yeah.
What happened to him? So
Right.
We just sort of had a generic cover that didn't have any faces on it.
'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. Oh, how precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Well, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Grace, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace all my fears relieved. Oh, how precious did that grace appear the hour, the very first hour I believed. Sublime gracia del Señor, que a un pecador salvó. Perdido yo, mas me halló. Fui ciego y veo yo. Well, when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. To sing God's praise. And when we first began, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Said I was blind, but now I was blind, but now
How amazing God's grace. Yeah, Lord. Amazing. One more time, amazing grace. How sweet the sound. It sings forever like me. It's amazing.
Did I tell you the story that Jeremy Swindle shared about the first time he saw us in concert?
I don't think so.
He was a young man and he loved Acappella during this time frame, but he had no idea what you and I looked like or what Acappella looked like. We were doing a youth rally and he was thinking, oh, that's great. Apparently we didn't send a picture ahead. It was just our logo, Acappella. And so he was excited. They were going to announce us. And he was really shocked because we must not have looked like what he expected. So the MC said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Acappella. And you and I ran out and he goes,
I do every morning when I get up and look in the mirror, that's kind of the same reaction I have about myself. I'm like, what happened?
I am longing for your love is better than life. Your love is better than life. Earnestly I seek you, my soul is thirsting for you, 'cause your love is better than life. Your love is better than life.
Hi, I'm Melissa Lancaster and I want to welcome you to Praise and Harmony TV. Here on this app or website, whichever you're using, you'll find countless videos on how to sing, vocal care, music theory, training for individual songs, and learning harmony parts, music videos and lyric videos for your church to stream, children's content, and so much more. We are adding new content every day, so be sure to take a look around and be sure to sign up for your 3-day free trial.
Well, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock. Well, now, hey! Oh, rock my soul. Rock my soul. Well, the rich man lives. Well, the glory and in the sun way. Won't you praise the Lord? You know when he died. Well, the glory and he had all his Lazarus,
glory had on
he was in the sky.
praise the Lord.
You know when he died,
Well, with glory and
he
honor,
had a home on high.
you praise the Lord.
Why don't you rock my soul?
Why don't you rock bosom of Abraham? You rock my soul.
Rock my
Bosom
soul.
of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock.
Well, now, rock, hey,
Oh, rock my soul. Rock my soul.
well, you rock my soul.
Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul.
Rock my soul.
Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul.
Rock my soul.
Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock.
And rock, hey,
Oh, rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul?
Well, I feel good, good, good. Well, I feel good. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, 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 good. Well, I can love, love, love. Well, I can love. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me love good, good, good. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got joy, joy, joy. Well, I've got joy down in my soul. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that gives me such joy, 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 joy. Well, I can sing, sing, sing. Well, I can sing, oh yes, my Lord.
Because there's
Something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me sing good, 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 good. Well, I can serve, serve. Well, I can serve, oh yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me serve good, good, good. Wait a minute. Do you feel good? Good, so good. Well, if you feel good, then clap your hands. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, good, good. Yeah, yeah. I feel good, good, so good. Well, I feel good. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because it's something about the sweet Spirit of my Jesus that makes me feel good, good, good.
Well, I'm Rodney Britt, and I am here with my friends in Acappella, and we're going to be talking about the album Sweet Fellowship.
Don't you think that this album is the most covered of any of the collection of songs you guys have done?
In multiple languages.
Why is it? Why is this one the one out of all the albums we've recorded?
I personally, I think it was because of the focus on simple 4-part harmony, and yet everyone had their own standout part. It wasn't your average 4-part. Let's all sing something off the lead line and make it a quartet kind of thing. It was 4 individual parts that formed a whole, and it was unique and different, and it had of course, the sound was real different too from one album to the next. Big change, and we'll get into that. But I think it just appealed to people and lots of groups out there. And you still hear groups. I mean, almost weekly, I get a new Brazilian quartet sending me a cover of Sweet Fellowship or Now to Him or something.
I love hearing people sing these songs, and it just brings a smile to my face. Let's catch up first on what was happening before Sweet Fellowship and leading up to this time. And we'll start with Rodney. Rodney, you had been in the group for what, 3 years at this point?
Yeah, I think it was about 3 years. And the last 2 of those years, it was just me and you.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 of us singing with tracks. And then, as we have discussed earlier, that we formed the vocal band who kind of stood in behind us. So what had been happening up until this point now was a radical change, and for the better, I would say.
Well, with AVB, I mean, there were 7 of us on stage. So George, the first time you heard the group was in California where you were living.
Yes.
Well, actually a friend, I think, do I remember it correctly? A friend twisted your arm to get you to come to one of our concerts.
This is what he did. He came to my house. He was a police officer. And he came to my house, and we were eating and talking, and he said, I got this video I want to show you. And he showed me the video of Acapella's, the video you guys had just completed. And I was so impressed. I thought, oh my goodness. And I thought, but I got to tell you, I was impressed for selfish reasons. I was not impressed because I was thinking, I want to be a part of that. Because I hadn't even heard the music yet. I was just impressed because I was thinking, there are some people doing what I've been dreaming about. And I thought, I got to find out how he did this. So sure enough, I go to the concert, and I have no point of reference except that video. And I walk in, and it was like going to a Michael Jackson concert. I had never seen that before. Christians having that much fun, and the show being so professionally done.
That's high honor.
It was great. It was fantastic. I was blown away. But I was by myself. You got to know that this got me in a lot of trouble. I was by myself, so I talked to Keith. This is another thing that impressed me. I didn't know who Keith was, anything about the group, and so I tell John Laws. I said, I'd like to talk to Keith Lancaster, and so he sends me to the bus. I go to the bus, and he says, George Pendergrass, the George Pendergrass, and I thought he was joking, but I didn't even know he knew anything about me. So apparently, Brett had told him about me. Nobody ever told me this. So I'm just sitting there, and the only thing I can think of is how did you do whatever you guys are doing? Because I'm singing with a group, and then my mind was totally on Renaissance. I was like, I'm singing with a group, and we are trying to do full-time music ministry, and I just want to know, what can you do? What can I do to be a part of something like this full-time? And he said, how bad do you want to do it? And I was like, within the law, as long as it's legal. And he said, okay, we'll see. And then I said, well, I tell you what, I said, because at this point I'm thinking, forget Renaissance. I want to do this thing. I said, but I've got a friend.
Full-time.
Yeah. I said, I got a friend.
I got a friend.
If I'm thinking in the group who's serious, there's one guy in there that's dead serious. He's got to be a part of this venture. And he says, okay, I'll get back with you. and I went home, and I think I called you, Doc. I think I called you and said, you got to. So I was all excited telling them all about this. And I said, he's going to get back in touch with me. And sure enough, that's when all the trouble started. I went home and I told my wife, I said, honey, I've seen it. They're doing what I've been dreaming about. And she goes, what's that? I said, full-time music ministry. She said, what? Are you out of your mind? She said, you got 2 degrees and you're a minister and you want to do what? And it just went from bad to worse. It just was terrible. It just didn't go that well. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is not good. And sure enough, you guys were in Longview again before you left California. And when I went to Longview, I took Pam with me, and she saw it herself. And she started crying, and she said, I see it. I see it. And that was it.
When I'm there with you in heaven, what a wondrous joy will be. Gather with the angel chorus, standing by the glassy sea. Such a thought is hard to fathom, in the presence of my King, and with countless ones forgiven, gathered round the throne to sing. Glory and honor, worthy is the Lamb. Glory and honor, worthy is the Lamb. Mortal words cannot express it, all the ways you reign supreme. Even death can't hold the vastness, nor approach this awesome thing. You are God, and to your glory we will worship and abide. In your presence there forever, we'll be happy to reside. Glory and honor, worthy is the Lamb. Glory and honor, worthy is the Lamb. We have seen His glory. We have seen. We have seen His glory. Oh, we have seen His glory. The one. He's the one. He's the one and only Son. We have seen His glory. Oh, we have seen His glory. We have seen His glory. Oh, we have seen His glory. Jesus, the one, He's the one and only Son. Glory and honor, worthy is the Lamb. Glory and honor, worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the
Create in me
a clean heart, O God. Let me be like you in all my ways. Give me your strength, teach me your song. Shelter me in the shadow of your wings. For we are your righteousness. If we die to ourselves and live through your death, we shall be born again to be blessed in your love. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Let me be like you in all my ways. Give me your strength, teach me your song. Shelter me in the shadow of your wings. For we are your righteousness. If we die to ourselves and live through your death, we shall be born again to be blessed in your love. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Let me be like you in all my ways. Give me your strength, teach me your song. Shelter me in the shadow of your wings. For we are your righteousness. If we die to ourselves and live through your death, we shall be born again to be blessed in your love. We shall be born again to be blessed in your
All of the glory.
Announcing Praise and Harmony TV. P&H TV is the inspirational way to fill your life with music videos of brand new songs of worship and hymns. P&H TV also provides masterclass education for beginners to learn fundamentals of music, as well as the quickest method to easily learn how to sing harmony, featuring hundreds of videos which isolate one harmony voice part at a time for ease of learning.
I know the Lord will find a way for me.
Hear fascinating history of classic hymns of the faith. Enjoy videos of Christian singing group Acappella, including vintage material from the vault.
We bow down and we crown you the King.
Be blessed by full-length music videos of the international ministry of the Praise and Harmony Singers. Share children's videos as well as songs for teens by Regen Harmony. Praise and Harmony TV also features documentaries of behind-the-scenes events, including a specialized podcast for song leaders.
There were no gods.
P&H TV contains resources for a wide variety of assemblies, including videos specifically designed for worship services, weddings, funerals, and special holiday events. New content will be added every month. Sign up today for the annual plan and save big money. Praise and Harmony TV is here.
King of heaven, King of
will sing and worship the King is worthy, and I will love and adore him. I will bow down before him. I will sing and worship the King is worthy. I will love and adore him. I will bow down before him. You're my Prince of Peace, and I will live my life for you. Only you are holy.
Solo tú eres santo.
Only you are
Digno eres de lo.
Only you are wonderful.
Eres maravilloso.
For there's no one else like you. There's no one else like you. Who is faithful ever true. Who is faithful ever true. All my love, my heart, my life is a testimony. I've been held by the Savior.
I've been held by the Savior.
I felt fire
I felt fire from above.
I've been down to the river. My
Life has changed.
will never
Never be
the same. All my hope is in Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank God my yesterday's gone. Now I know all my sins are forgiven.
I'm not the same.
I've been washed
I've been washed by the
You know that all of my hope is in Jesus.
Thank God my yesterday's gone. Thank God my yesterday's gone. All of my sins are forgiven.
I've been washed by
I've been washed by the blood. I've been washed by the blood.
You were despised, you were rejected, Lord. Those who passed by even averted their gaze from the side. Such was the suffering you bore for us. Then like a lamb, a lamb to the slaughter, you spoke not a word, but chose to be silent, no wrong, nor was deceitfulness found in you. Yet by your wounds our salvation has come. Yet by your suffering our freedom is won. For God has highly exalted your name. He has enthroned you on high. Jesus, the name above all names. God has highly exalted your name. He has enthroned you on high. Jesus, the name above all names. You were despised, you were rejected, Lord. Those who passed by even averted their gaze from the side. Such was the suffering you bore for us. Father in heaven, how we love you. We lift your name in all the earth. May your kingdom be established in our praises as your people declare
who reigns forevermore. Christ is risen, he is risen indeed. Oh, sing hallelujah. Join the chorus, sing with the redeemed. Christ is risen, he is risen indeed. Christ is risen, he is risen indeed. Oh, sing hallelujah. Join the chorus, sing with the redeemed. Christ is risen, he is risen. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. Yes. Heaven's gates are open wide. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. Now in heaven glorified. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. Now in heaven glorified. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise. O Lord our God. O Lord our, shout to the Lord, all the earth, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down. Mountains bow down, and the seas will roar at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the work of your hands. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the promise. Nothing compares to the promise. Nothing compares to the promise that I have in you, Lord. We want to elevate our faith. Elevate our faith. Elevate you. Elevate our faith. Elevate our faith. Elevate our faith. Elevate our faith. Go to you. Elevate our faith. Elevate our prayer. Give you what is due. Give you all the glory. All to you, Lord, we magnify you. We magnify your name. Lift you high. Lift your name high. It's not about me. It's not about me, Lord. It's all about I know it's all about Him. Lord, we magnify your name with my life. Oh, I'm giving you praise and honor. Glory to the King of Kings. Oh, it's all about Him. My Savior loves, He lives. He's always there for me. My God, He was, He is. He's always gonna be. My Savior loves, He lives. He's always there for me. My God, He was, He is. He's always gonna be. My Savior loves, He lives. He's always there for me. My God, He was, He is. He's always gonna be. My Savior loves, He lives. He's always there for me. My God, He was, He is. He's always gonna be. My Savior lives. My Savior loves. My Savior lives. My Savior loves. My Savior lives. I want to walk worthy. I want to walk worthy. According to Thy will. Please order my steps. Please order my steps, Lord. And I'll do your blessed will. The world is ever changing. The world, it keeps changing. But you are still
fiel es tu nombre, santo es tu nombre, fiel es tu amor para mí. Fiel es tu nombre, santo es tu nombre, santo eres por la eternidad. I call you holy, your name is holy, you are so holy, you are holy, Lord. I call you holy, your name is holy, holy you are, and holy you'll be. I call you faithful, you are faithful, yes you are faithful, Lord. I call you faithful, yes, and faithful you are, and faithful you'll be. I call you healer, you are healer, yes you are healer, Lord. I call you healer, yes, and healer you are, and healer you'll be. I call you faithful, your name is faithful, you are so faithful, siempre has sido fiel mi Dios. I call you faithful, your name is faithful, faithful you are, and faithful you'll be. And together we sing, we will sing, everyone sing, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The earth is filled with His glory. Holy is the Lord God Almighty. The earth is filled with His glory. The earth is filled with His glory. Story, I could have had a really different story, but you came down from heaven to restore me. Forever save my life.
Oh Lord, you saved my life.
Nobody loves me like you love me, Jesus. I stand in awe of your amazing ways. I worship you as long as I am breathing. You are faithful and true. Nobody loves me like you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me. Be to our God forever and ever. Be to our God forever and ever. Be to our God forever and ever. Amen. Be to our God forever and ever. Be to our God forever and ever. Be to our God forever and ever. Amen. I want to walk worthy, according to thy will. Please order my steps, Lord, and I'll do your blessed will. The world is ever changing, it keeps changing, but you.
Gethsemane,
Dark Gethsemane,
dark Gethsemane,
have chosen not to suffer treatment of cruelest kind. But the lips of my pure Savior uttered not my will, but not my will, but
Jesus prayed in the garden, he prayed, oh, Jesus prayed in the garden, he prayed, oh, Jesus.
let me tell you what he went through.
Prayed, oh, Jesus.
You know he really didn't have to.
Prayed, oh,
He could have easily just walked away.
prayed, oh,
Said,
not my will, but thy
well, they took him and they beat him, they mocked him, they scourged him, but the people came to cry, we gotta crucify him, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him, he said,
my will, but thy
well, they hung him there, searching out sweetly, they jailed him there in public, right between the two thieves. He tasted the human touch of the cruelest kind. He said,
my will, but
somewhere happy, somewhere died, somewhere happy and he died. I don't see, I can't see how could this ever be. Poor Jesus as he hung on a tree, he said,
my will, but
oh, yeah.
Jesus prayed.
Can't you see him? Can't you see him? Hanging there, suffering Savior. And he said, not my will, but thy. Did you know he said, not my will, but thine.
Something I don't, something I don't.
He created the heavens, he created the earth.
Tell me something that I don't know.
He became a human through a virgin birth, yeah.
Tell me something that I don't know.
He amazed the wise men in spite of his youth as he spoke with wisdom and knowledge of truth.
Beyond a doubt, we know.
Tell me something I don't know.
Tell me something that I don't know. Please tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that I don't know.
Already know
Something I don't, something I don't.
He gave sight to the blinded, made the lame to walk. He made them
Tell me something
walk.
that I don't know.
Got the demons to fleeing when they heard him talk. Oh yeah.
Tell me something that I don't know.
He spoke with the power that came from above as he lived an example of genuine love.
Beyond a doubt, we know.
Tell me something, please tell me something.
Tell me something that I don't know.
I don't know.
Please tell me something I don't
need to know.
Tell me something that I don't know. Something I don't, something I don't. In searching for knowledge.
knowledge our world is obsessed. With all kinds of breakthroughs, I'm very impressed. But as to the meaning and purpose we live, there's only one answer creation can give. He was taken with anger on a cross to die. Yes, it was. Tell me something. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Because of all of my sin, the Lord was crucified. Tell me something that I don't know. But then after the third day, he arose from the grave, holding ultimate victory and power to save. Oh, yeah. Beyond a doubt, we know. Tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that I don't know. Please tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that I don't know. Please tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that I don't know. Please tell me something I don't know. Tell me something that I don't know. Something I don't. Something I don't. Something I don't know.
Check out the new album spotlight episodes on praiseandharmony.tv.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dwayne Adams, and I'm here with some Aca buddies.
You'll hear stories behind the music of your favorite Acappella songs. Laugh along with the Acappella guys as you learn how the albums were created.
Blazing through because we don't know. Somebody tell me about this album.
So, what about this song? I don't remember.
Album favorites like Set Me Free, We Have Seen His Glory, and Rescue are available now, and more episodes are being added weekly. Check out extra behind-the-scenes videos and never-before-seen footage from Acappella during these interviews. Album Spotlight, available now only at praiseandharmony.tv.
His great example is the one I see. Nobody else is good enough for me. Never will be perfect even though I try. Gonna keep working till the day I die. Of all the great people who have lived before, there's not another person who has loved us more. To make us and to take us underneath his wings. Now my heart can really sing. He is bound for living, is perfect and easy to see. It's for me. So I now want to follow and find out how much I can be. How much I can be. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. Of all the styles of living that are here today, not a single one can show a better way. The life of love and caring for your fellow man is part of his eternal plan. And your selfless devotion within your life can be real. Very real. Why not try it and live it, and then you'll know how I feel. You'll know how I feel. I wanna be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I wanna be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. To be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. Nobody else but Jesus. Nobody else will do. Nobody else will do. Nobody else but the Savior can ever see me through. For he's holding me, guiding me along this narrow way. Oh, I want to learn my Master's ways. Of all the There's not another person who has loved us more, to make us and to take us underneath his wings. Now my heart can really sing. He is powerful, living, is perfect and easy to see. It's for me. So I now want to follow and find out how much I can be. How much I can be. I want to be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Got to be like nobody else is good enough for me. I want to be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna like keep him. Working till the day I die. I want to be like his him. Great example is the one I see. Oh, I want to be. Nobody else is good enough for me. I want to be like never him. Will be perfect even though I try. Got to be gonna like keep working till the day I die. I want to be like his great example is the one I see. Nobody else is good enough for me. Oh, I wanna be. Never will be perfect even though I try. Gonna keep working till the day I die. Oh, I want to be like him. I wanna be like him.
Your love is better than life.
Hi, I'm Rodney Britt. I'm here with my friend Keith Lancaster, my buddy, and we are talking about the album Better Than Life.
Better Than Life, 1987?
I think it was 87, yeah.
Because Traveling Shoes was 85, Conqueror's 86, and this was 87. Man, you're getting old.
I feel it. I feel it. My knees, my back, yeah.
Eventually, I'll get some gray hair. You think?
Hey, I'm liking the goatee action there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that came through the pandemic.
Yeah.
We didn't have pictures on our cover. Traveling Shoes, Conquerors, Better Than Life. Why was that? Why did we not?
I think it was because you didn't know who was coming or going. and I think the idea was if people come and go, then people aren't going to look at an album cover and say, hey, where's that guy?
Yeah.
What happened to him? So
right.
We just sort of had a generic cover that didn't have any faces on it.
'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. Oh, how precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Well, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Like now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace all my fears relieved. Oh, how precious did that grace appear. The hour, the very first hour
light shining as the sun. Blessed day to sing God's praise. And when we first began, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Said I was blind, but now I was blind, but now I see. I was blind, but now I see. Amazing. Amazing grace. God's grace. Yeah, Lord. Amazing. One more time, amazing grace. How sweet the sound. It sings forever like me. But now I'm found. Blind was blind, now I see. Mi ciego y me salvó. I was blind, but now I see. Amazing gracia, sublime gracia, de mi Dios. It's amazing.
Did I tell you the story that Jeremy Swindle shared about the first time he saw us in concert?
I don't think so.
He was a young man and he loved a cappella during this time frame, but he had no idea what you and I looked like or what a cappella looked like. We were doing a youth rally and he was thinking, oh, that's great. Apparently we didn't send a picture ahead. It was just our logo, a cappella. And so he was excited. They were going to announce us, and he was really shocked because we must not have looked like what he expected. So the MC said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a cappella. And you and I ran out, and he goes,
I do every morning when I get up and look in the mirror. That's kind of the same reaction I have about myself. I'm like, what happened?
I am longing for your love is better than life. Your love is better than life. Earnestly I seek you, my soul is thirsting for you, 'cause your love is better than life. Your love is better than life.
Hi, I'm Melissa Lancaster, and I want to welcome you to Praise and Harmony TV. Here on this app or website, whichever you're using, you'll find countless videos on how to sing, vocal care, music theory, training for individual songs, and learning harmony parts, music videos and lyric videos for your church to stream, children's content, and so much more. We are adding new content every day, so be sure to take a look around and be sure to sign up for your 3-day free trial.
Well, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock. Well, now, hey! Oh, rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul? Well, the rich man lives. Well, the glory and in the sun way. Won't you praise the Lord? You know when he died. Well, the glory and honor. He had all his head. Be sure to praise the Lord. Why don't you rock my soul? Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock and rock. Hey! Oh, rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul? Well, the poor man Lazarus. Well, the glory and honor. He was poor in the sky. Won't you praise the Lord? You know when he died. Well, with glory and honor. He had a home on high. Won't you praise the Lord? Why don't you rock my soul? Why don't you rock Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock. Well, now, and rock. Hey! Oh, rock my soul. Rock my soul. Well, you rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul. Rock my soul. Bosom of Abraham, you rock and rock and rock. Hey! Oh, rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul?
Well, I feel good, good, good. Well, I feel good. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, 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 good. Well, I can love, love, love. Well, I can love. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me love good, good, good. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got joy, joy, joy. Well, I've got joy down in my soul. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that gives me such joy, 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 joy. Well, I can sing, sing, sing. Well, I can sing, oh yes, my Lord. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me sing good, 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 good. Well, I can serve, serve, well, I can serve, oh yes, my Lord. Because it's always there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me serve good, good, good. Wait a minute. Do you feel good? Good, so good. Well, if you feel good, then clap your hands. Because there's something about the Spirit of Jesus that makes me feel good, good, good. Yeah, yeah. I feel good, good, so good. Well, I feel good. Oh, yes, my Lord. Because it's all about something about the sweet Spirit of my Jesus that makes me feel good, good, good.
Well, I'm Rodney Britt, and I am here with my friends in Acappella, and we're going to be talking about the album Sweet Fellowship.
Don't you think that this album is the most covered of any of the collection of songs you guys have done?
In multiple languages.
Why is it? Why is this one the one out of all the albums we've recorded?
Personally, I think it was because of the focus on simple 4-part harmony, and yet everyone had their own standout part. It wasn't your average 4-part. Let's all sing let's all sing something off the lead line and make it a quartet kind of thing. It was four individual parts that formed a whole, and it was unique and different, and it had of course, the sound was real different too from one album to the next. Big change, and we'll get into that. But I think it just appealed to people and lots of groups out there. And you still hear groups. I mean, almost weekly, I get a new Brazilian quartet sending me a cover of Sweet Fellowship or Now to Him or something.
I love hearing people sing these songs, and it just brings a smile to my face. Let's catch up first on what was happening before Sweet Fellowship and leading up to this time. And we'll start with Rodney. Rodney, you had been in the group for what, 3 years at this point?
Yeah, I think it was about 3 years. And the last 2 of those years, it was just me and you. The 2 of us singing with tracks. And then, as we have discussed earlier, that we formed the vocal band who kind of stood in behind us. So what had been happening up until this point now was a radical change, and for the better, I would say.
Well, with AVB, I mean, there were 7 of us on stage. So George, the first time you heard the group was in California where you were living.
Yes.
Well, actually a friend, I think, do I remember it correctly? A friend twisted your arm to get you to come to one of our concerts.
This is what he did. He came to my house. He was a police officer. And he came to my house, and we were eating and talking. And he said, I got this video I want to show you. And he showed me the video of Acapella's, the video you guys had just completed. And I was so impressed. I thought, oh my goodness. And I thought, but I got to tell you, I was impressed for selfish reasons. I was not impressed because I was thinking, I want to be a part of that. Because I hadn't even heard the music yet. I was just impressed because I was thinking, there are some people doing what I've been dreaming about. And I thought, I got to find out how he did this. So sure enough, I go to the concert, and I have no point of reference except that video. And I walk in, and it was like going to a Michael Jackson concert. I had never seen that before. Christians having that much fun, and the show being so professionally done.
That's high honor coming.
Oh, it was great. It was fantastic. I was blown away. But I was by myself. You got to know that this got me in a lot of trouble. I was by myself, so I talked to Keith. This is another thing that impressed me. I didn't know who Keith was, anything about the group, and so I tell John Laws. I said, I'd like to talk to Keith Lancaster, and so he sends me to the bus. I go to the bus, and he says, George Pendergrass. The George Pendergrass, and I thought he was joking, but I didn't even know he knew anything about me. So apparently, Brett had told him about me. Nobody ever told me this. So I'm just sitting there, and the only thing I can think of is how did you do whatever you guys are doing? Because I'm singing with a group, and then my mind was totally on Renaissance. I was like, I'm singing with a group, and we are trying to do full-time music ministry. And I just want to know, what can you do? What can I do to be a part of something like this full-time? And he said, how bad do you want to do it? And I was like, within the law, as long as it's legal. And he said, okay, we'll see. And then I said, well, I tell you what, I said, because at this point I'm thinking, forget Renaissance. I want to do this thing. I said, but I've got a friend. Full-time. Yeah. I said, I got a friend.
I got a friend.
If I'm thinking in the group who's serious, there's one guy in there that's dead serious. He's got to be a part of this venture. And he says, okay, I'll get back with you. and I went home, and I think I called you, Doc. I think I called you and said, you got to. So I was all excited telling them all about this. And I said, he's going to get back in touch with me. And sure enough, that's when all the trouble started. I went home and I told my wife, I said, honey, I've seen it. They're doing what I've been dreaming about. And she goes, what's that? I said, full-time music ministry. She said, what? Are you out of your mind? She said, you got 2 degrees and you're a minister and you want to do what? And it just went from bad to worse. It just was terrible. It just didn't go that well. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is not good. And sure enough, you guys were in Longview again before you left California. And when I went to Longview, I took Pam with me. And she saw it herself, and she started crying, and she said, I see it, I see it, and that was it.
When I'm there with you in heaven, what a wondrous joy will be. Gather with the angel chorus, standing by the glassy sea. Such a thought is hard to fathom, in the presence of my King, and with countless ones forgiven, gathered round the throne to sing glory and honor. Worthy is the Lamb. Glory and honor. Worthy is the Lamb. Mortal words cannot express it, all the ways you reign supreme. Even death can't hold the vastness, nor approach this awesome thing. You are God, and to your glory we will worship and abide. In your presence there forever, we'll be happy to reside.